They thought I was gonna die. That's what I was told. You're gonna die. You're gonna get your head chopped off. You're gonna get kidnapped. You're gonna go broke. You're gonna get sick and die.
You're actually providing everything for free. There's no hidden fees. There's no upsells.
We have many people running girls that have done like 7 figures in revenue already, and there's no end in sight. Every day they make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. You need to go and watch the education. We have all the data literally saying like, if people watch the education, they become successful. If people don't, they don't.
Clipping is a scam. And when Kai Cenat retires and you don't have anything else to clip, what the fuck are you gonna do? Running AI models as early as it is like buying Bitcoin back in 2013 when we were all playing fucking Modern Warfare 2.
Full-blown gambling addiction. Literally every day, slots, everything, and I'm over it.
They stopped hanging out with me. They stopped inviting me places. They even started calling me names when they would see me out in public.
We have tons of people that are also doing 50, 60, 70, 80K.
That's all it takes is one day to change the entire trajectory. You're the only person online providing free value. What's up with that?
When we first started, I considered selling the value. I thought about kind of this idea that I could basically charge and then also take a percentage at the same time. And I decided that probably wasn't the best idea. The reason it's not a good idea, at least based off our discussions internally, like we thought about all the options, but basically it was, we decided that everybody should have an opportunity to make money from the offer. And when you start adding a price point, you're kind of segregating a lot of people out of it, right? If you charge $1,000, there's only so many people that are willing to pay that $1,000. So when people sell courses, they do it because they're trying to target a certain market, right? Some people do a low ticket course or a high ticket or a medium ticket, whatever it is, and they're targeting that specific demographic of person, right? But if you make it free, every single person can try, right? And so we decided to do a profit sharing split instead of, charging something. Now, obviously that's riskier, but it does increase our ceiling, right? So we decided, hey, we would rather have a ceiling outcome than a floor outcome, right? If we charged, a few $1,000s for the course, and also for, the use of the creator or whatever, and then maybe made a little bit of money and we would charge a bigger premium on like the credits and stuff, which right now we break even or lose money on all the credit stuff. We don't make any money off that.
Right.
We would still make money from the business, of course, right? And so our floor at the beginning would be higher, but as time goes on, our ceiling is significantly lower. Whereas in comparison, if we bring people in for free, many people we lose money on because they start, we spend effort on them. The business costs money to run, of course, the creators cost money to produce, etc.
Yeah.
They make nothing, right? And then our business is predicated on them becoming successful, right? So you might say, well, if a lot of people are not making anything, why do you do it? Well, the people that do make money, they make a lot of money, and they do really well, and they stick with us for a long time, and we give them more creators and more incentive and more help. And so we keep providing the tools to help those people out, right? We're betting on the long-term value of those successful users. We're betting on our ability to scale out a ton of those successful users. That's how the company becomes, worth hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, is through that, right? There's no possible way that we can make 100 million or billions of dollars, whatever it is, selling a course. Like there's just not enough people to buy it. There's not enough money to be made from it, even with all the upsells, all of these things. Now, could I make like 50 or 100K selling a course or whatever?
Sure.
Fine, but like we're not in it for that purpose, right? Like that's great money, and I'm sure a lot of people are happy making 50 or 100K, and that's like a dream number for a lot of people. But in our position and like the way that we think about things, like it's the big B, it's $1 billion, or basically it's a failure at this point. Like we want to be billionaires, and so this is the way to make it happen. So we decided early on that this is the way to do it. Now, nobody else has copied us because it's really hard to do, right? You need a lot of money, number one, right? You got to be able to produce all those creators. That's not easy to do. You need a lot of balls, because you got to be willing to bet on yourself to actually make people successful. Most people that sell courses, it doesn't matter if the person becomes successful because they've monetized you already, right? Yeah. They've already made the money off you. Now, sure, they need their testimonials. Most of that could be faked regardless. I mean, we've had discussions about this where we see a lot of stuff online that's, almost certainly bullshit and being
nonsense.
fake. And so, we can't fake any of that stuff. It has to be real or I make literally nothing and my business goes out of business.
Because if you think about it, your business model is fucking insane. But like nobody understands exactly how it works because you have people that come in for free and you've turned them to quite literally millionaires in a sense, right? You have guys coming in making hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they don't pay anything up front to start. So how would you break it down for people that don't necessarily understand the business model?
Yeah, so I started in the traditional girl space, like doing like OF stuff, and I tried that out. Obviously, there are different ways that you can kind of, slice the orange with respect to dealing with the real girls. There's many different situations. Some people do the salary. Some people have, different percentage splits. But generally speaking, the site, which would be like OF, they would take the 20 points. you would be remain, with your 80 percentage. And then basically from there, you'd have to split it some way with the girl, right? So if it's a 50-50, you get 40, the girl gets 40, but you still got to cover all the costs, right?
Exactly.
If you get like even a slightly better deal, it's still pretty hard to get up to that, like, the 60% number, which I'll get to in a second, is what my business offers, because you would need to have 75% of the profits at that point splitting with the girl. That's a very difficult deal to come by with most girls, especially most high quality girls, right? So it's like some people, the way that they look at things is they're like, I need a bigger cut, because they're thinking too small, right? They're not thinking, how can I make a $500,000 per month business or $1 million per month business running like a lot of creators. They're like, well, how can I make 8K? If I need to make 8K, like I need to have a bigger cut, right? Well, those people, generally speaking, they don't really last very long in any industry. They don't actually build anything of value, like real substance and assets. They don't learn any, legitimate skills. They're mostly just like hustlers, right? So I think there's a lot of people in that side of the world that are just trying to hustle. We don't really appeal to those people, right? But our business, the same thing. The 20% gets taken by the site, not OF. We have our own, but gets taken by that site. No different. It leaves you with 80, right? Now we take 20 of the 80 for providing you the creator, the tools, the education, the support, the everything that you could possibly need, right? Access to the best tools to make the content. Now we do charge for those, but that's really expensive stuff. We don't make money off that. If you really think that we're bringing you in for free, so then we can charge you $30 a month to make like credits, or $100 to make credits, then you must be delusional, because there's no way we would go through all this headache and spend all this money and whatever to make like $100 off someone. That would be completely insane, right? Yeah. And you don't even have to spend the money on that. People have made money without spending money on it at the start. We've had many broke people come in and kind of change their life, right? So basically how it works is you get 60, we provide you the creator for, et cetera. We take our 20, the site takes 20, right? So some people deem that as like a 60-40 split. It's not 60-40, because no matter what, you would have to give 20 in every other situation regardless, right? Yeah. So it's really a 60-20 split, right? So you get 75% of the profits. But instead of dealing with a real girl and all the headaches, you deal with the AI creator, and right? You're in control. You get a perfect girl in control. The money comes directly to you. Your profit margins are better than like probably 90, 95, maybe 99% of all situations with a real girl. It's more secure. The girl never ages out. You have unlimited flexibility as the technology changes. The brands that you built belong to you, blah, 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 all of these things. Right. There's just a lot of value that we're providing. So that's the way the business functions. Now, other people in the space, they sell a course, right? Now they advertise, buy my $200 course,
or a tool, or
buy a tool. Come buy my $100 a month tool, or buy my creator package that has 200 photos. It's like $1,000. Like, I'm sorry, but none of those things are going to actually help you make money.
And there's no longevity in it.
The person selling the course, I'm sorry, like, the person selling a $200 course probably doesn't know what they're talking about. They don't actually care if you make money or not. I really do, because I make no money unless you make money. That's number one. Number two, those tools, they're all crappy. We've seen the quality of these AI creators, nothing fantastic. If you really think you're going to get this magic result from spending like $100 a month or $200 a month on a tool, that's probably not going to happen. And even if you make a little bit of money, it's going to limit your upside. You're not going to have the content to sell on the back end, the NSFW stuff. You're not going to have the flexibility in the long term, right? You're not part of a company like ours that really cares that you get the absolute best possible tools in the market to help you grow your social media, right? Additionally, you're not going to get the education, right? Like, I'm there every day providing new content. We have like 80 plus hours of content from both myself, and now we have people, from the community that have become successful, making, 50, 100, whatever $1,000 per month, that I've promoted them to their own coaches now. Right. I basically paid out of my own pocket to have them provide you guys education, so you can see what people who are actually making 100K that started from nothing, they're making all the money, what they're actually doing. If you're buying a model, right, and you really think that you spending like $500, $1,000 to buy a model, maybe you get a bigger percentage. If you really think getting 200 photos is going to do anything from you, I'm sorry, you have no idea what you're talking about. You need a massive amount of content, an unlimited generator of content specifically tied to that girl, right? It's complicated, it's expensive, it costs a lot of money to set up these brands and to train the models to make sure that you have the exact looking creator every single time. That's very difficult to do. And that's another reason, if option number 4 would be to use the technology to make it yourself. It's hard to do, right? Because now you have someone that has to make the content themselves in terms of the actual base model. They have to do the marketing on social media, and they have to handle all the sales side. Those are 3 very time consuming, very expensive, and very complicated skills to learn. right? We cut out most of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
We cut out the production of the base model. We even offer all of the stuff with respect to monetization. We teach you everything when it comes to social media and monetization. And now all you're left to do is go market, right? You got to just go take what you've learned, take what we've provided for you, and go market, and we'll handle the rest, right? That's a lot of value we're providing, you know? And so people think that it's always brighter on the other side or the grass is always greener, but it's not, you know? And so I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that people think that having a bigger percentage is going to lead to them making more money. In most situations, it's not, right? I would put you in another situation. You know, if you have professional athletes, right? If they're so good at what they do, why do they have coaches, right? Why do bodybuilders have coaches, right? If they know how to bodybuild and they're 270 pounds in the Olympia, why do they have a coach, right?
He has a coach.
Everybody has a coach.
Won
They
6 times,
they have a coach because they need someone to watch over their back to continue pushing them, right? There's value to that, right? They pay a lot of money for that.
Accountability.
Okay, well, what am I there for, right?
Exactly.
To help people, to give my experience, to push people. And I'm doing it honestly and providing as much as I can. I'm not holding back because I'm financially incentivized to give everything I possibly can for free so people make money, right? It's an underrated situation, and I feel like people don't value it the right way. And so some people come to us and they're stubborn. They don't value it. It's fine, no problem. It's not for you, good luck. But many people that have come to us originally being stubborn, they came to us, they made some money, they're like, I could do this myself. They left, and guess what happened? 2-3 months later, they come right back. They come right back. Why? They couldn't keep themselves accountable, right? They couldn't handle all the work and they're like, you know what? The deal that Steven has is actually the best situation by far because I get all this support and I can focus on the one thing that I need to, the one thing that actually drives the value in the business, which is the marketing and the social media. The most important thing, bar none.
Well, let's rewind a little bit because you were in the real creator space. I mean, I think a lot of people watching know that I was in the real creator space too, and I was super biased to it. Tell me about like how you got into the real creator space and what clicked in your head that was like, fuck the real creator space. I'm gonna go from real creators to the creators that we have now.
Yeah, so I started in the real creator space in 2022, and Q3 I was looking for a business to do. I had prior history and other things which we can get into. But basically I was living in Mexico. I saw an opportunity with, you know, there were like local people that I thought I saw were doing like the OF stuff.
Yeah.
And then this was kind of like around the peak of like euphoria with respect to OnlyFans. You know, there was a lot of euphoria back then, and, you know, people tend to buy the top, you know, like with all markets. And so I definitely hopped in at the top of that euphoria. The time to actually buy in probably was 2020 during the Rona stuff, because if you kind of got in then, there was a lot of money injected into society, and you kind of would have seen that rise. And I kind of joined near the top, I think. Now, that doesn't mean there's not still money or that it's going to zero or whatever, but things have definitely tapered down in that specific domain. I don't think things have tapered down in terms of your ability to earn money. Like, we're doing better than ever month after month, but a lot of real creators kind of saw their peaks around then. So I joined then. I bought like some crappy scam course. The guy's a complete scammer, but I met a lot of interesting people from that, and I learned a lot. Now, what I saw is a lot of people struggling with the exact same thing, right? And what's crazy is we're, you know, end of this year will be 4 years later, 3.5 years later now, and a lot of the same things are still happening, right? The same people are still coaching. There's not really any new growth in that space. They're still teaching the same useless things like 9 out of 10 times. It's completely useless, basically. Teaching you traffic methods that don't work. No one actually knows how to brand or go viral with a creator, blah, 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 all of these things. It's still the same problems that happened back then. So I was interested in the idea of the money in the space, not interested in the idea of the girls. I think a lot of people go into it and they're like, I get to date, you know, the hot girls, or exactly, I get to, you know, manage my girlfriend, whatever. I never did any of that stuff. It wasn't for me. I was always like, this is a business. Now, I started a community back then. It went well. I started making money right away and figuring out ways to build out networks on social media early on. Like, for whatever reason, it clicked. I had no prior experience in the social media space. I just was, you know, naturally, you know, maybe the word is gifted, but for lack of a better word, gifted at figuring that stuff out.
Right.
The current people I do business with, they found me, right? And they were like, we want to meet you because we're interested in working with you to build out our platform. And so we ended up meeting, and that's what led me to moving to Las Vegas. Now, one of the problems I saw in the creator space is that I think that most people, and I still feel this way, most people don't really have a business. You know, they have a hustle, you know? Right. And so they have a few models that they're working with, that they're hustling, they're grinding it out. They're making 10, 15, 20K a month. They're lying, claiming that they're making 50 or 100 when they're not. You know, there's very few people that have like proper infrastructure set up. Now, some do, right? Yeah. Good for them. They're making money. Maybe they can continue it. Maybe they can't, whatever. But regardless, your business is very reliant on the creator, right? They have ultimate control over you, right? You don't have control over their accounts. You don't have control over their money. You don't have control over how they feel. You don't have control over their social medias. You don't have anything, right? So most people, they either manage their girlfriend, which gives them a bigger sense of control. They have the girl immediately around them, and then they leverage that to bring new girls into their operation, right? And even that has, usually a ticking time bomb.
I was one of those guys.
You were one of those guys. Usually that's a ticking time bomb because the situation with the girl, once you get personal and business and you mix it, especially personal and business with a guy and a girl, it's a recipe for disaster, right? And so that usually ends in a bad thing, which is why I call it a hustle and not a business. That's number one. Number two, business requires you having assets. It requires you having infrastructure, right? If you don't control any of that infrastructure, which I just explained, you don't have a business, right? You have a time bomb, right? Yeah. So maybe you can make money for a period of time, but that doesn't mean anything, right? The final thing is that to have a business, you need skills, right? Like I'm really good at growing on social media pages and going viral. That's a skill, If your skill is just to hustle a girl to come work for you, work with you who already has a brand and you just provide her chatting services, that's not really a skill that's going to last very long. No. You know what I mean?
She's like a middleman.
She's going to leave you, all these things, right? So it's not really a serious space in that regard. It's never been a serious space as far as I've known it. It's not improving, right? There isn't like some magic thing that's going to happen to the space. In my opinion, I don't really believe that. Obviously, AI is a thing, but it doesn't really feel, and we'll get into this, that a lot of people in that space are transitioning to AI, and I'll explain why I think that is. But generally, nothing has changed in 3.5 years. I don't believe anything will change. I don't think that there's significant new entrants to the space. I think the girls that are legit and professionals and have established brands, they're going to continue being there for the long run.
Good, yeah.
They're going to stay, right? And some guys have legitimate businesses running those creators. Good for them. They're probably going to stay. Maybe some of those guys are their girlfriends or whatever it is. But generally speaking, there isn't going to be this massive new influx of people coming in, starting an agency, blah, 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 all these things. It's not going to happen, right? So anyways, I realized these problems years ago, and I was saying like, hey, these are problems. And nobody seemed to care, but I did care, right? Yeah. And I was like, how can I be in this space but secure my income? How can I be in this space and invest my time and my resources and my energy into being in this business, but do it in a way where I know my income is going to be secure, right? I don't have to worry about a girl deciding to retire or meeting some new dude and then leaving my agency because of a better situation. Right. Girls destroy their lives all the time, especially in this space, right? I've seen the circle of girls going from agency to agency to agency, thinking that something new is going to happen. And most of the time they end up just destroying their pages and they just destroy the revenue. I've seen it. I've seen everything, right? We've been in the space for a long time. I've seen the back of the biggest girls, their OnlyFans accounts, the agencies. We've seen it all, okay? I know exactly what's going on. So nobody can come to me in this space and claim, oh, you don't know this, you don't know that. We know, we 100% know, right? So at the time, what we did and what we're still doing is we basically ran licensed creator accounts, right? Yeah. Now, I got a lot of flack for this, right? Back in the day, because really? I'll explain what it is and I'll explain why I got flack. So basically what we did and what we still do, this is like a side of our business, is we took accounts on, that already existed on OF, and basically we would repurpose the brands into a new brand and we would run it on our platform, right? And why would we do this? Well, number one, it was basically like free money, right? Because we didn't have to deal with the girl or the agency or anything. We dealt with everything, the marketing, the sales, the chatting, everything, right? All they had to do was just give us their content and license it to us, right? And once they did that, they got a percentage. We would pay them weekly, and that's it. Now, we still do this. That business does $300,000-$400,000 a month in revenue right now, gross revenue. I don't make that net, but we're scaling it up. It'll probably get to like $1 million plus eventually. It's not meant to be like a get rich quick scheme for any girl, and we never advertise it that way. A lot of guys in this space, they deceive the girls by claiming, oh, I can make you 50, 100K a month. This isn't that, right? Now, what we can do is make you a consistent income that you don't have to do anything for, right? Yeah. So if you're someone that has a bunch of OF content sitting around and you're like, hey, how can I make more money from this? Hey, hit us up. We will set you up, no work. You can get paid in crypto or in bank every single week. Of course, you have access to your account, everything. We won't even market you on social media because we have so much internal traffic that we'll just monetize from that. Now, at the time, right, 3 years ago when I was doing this, people thought I was a nut, right? The reason they thought I was a nut is they're like, why would you work on this unknown platform doing this way of making money that, nobody's ever really heard of? This wasn't like a big thing back then. Only, even to this day, very few people are still doing this, let alone successfully. We have like over 100 creators now that are running, including some of the biggest creators in the space. And they were like, why would you not just work on OF? There's more money, there's better conversions, it's familiar, blah, 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 blah. I heard all the stuff. And I said, you know what? This to me is lower risk, right? Yeah. We've never had a girl quit in, you know, or maybe we've had like one situation, like 1 out of 100,
Right.
and because she wanted to retire, like she literally retired from OF, so she's like, I don't want to do this. I'm like, okay.
Cool.
No one has ever quit because they're getting 400, 500, 1,000 a week for doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
And so my income is also secure, right? Because I have a percentage of the pages as well, right? And so we've been doing this for years. We've done millions and millions of dollars of revenue and has no end in sight. It only continues to grow as our infrastructure builds and it's secure, right?
Yeah.
So that was the first step that I took to say, hey, how can I secure my revenue in this space? How can I secure my time and my energy? Because when you're pouring your time into something, if you don't have something to show on the other side, you're just wasting it, right?
Right.
People go to university, they waste their time all the time, right? They go, they spend all this time and money, and then nothing happens, right? They get some bullshit degree, and they're like, now what do I do?
They're barely guaranteed a corporate job.
People are doing the OF hustle degree right now. They go, they put their time and energy, and then the girl leaves them, and they're like, I got nothing, you know? How is that any different? What the fuck is the
100%.
point of that? So you have money for a couple years, you act like a big shot, and then nothing ends up on the other side. I'm like, I can't be that guy, you know? I can't, because if I'm gonna be that guy, if there's any risk of that, then I can't do this, because at the time I was 24 years old. I'm like, I got to take my life serious now. I got to make money. If I spend my 20s properly and build in my 20s, by the time I'm in my 30s, I'm going to be rich, you know?
Yeah.
So I do well from that business. Obviously, I have a cut. Whoever's watching this can speculate or guess how much that is. That doesn't really matter, right? In the grand scheme of things. Now, the next layer of that, which we started working on in 2023, was this idea of, well, what if we didn't need the girls at all, right? Because that's the biggest roadblock that everybody knows.
Right.
And back in the day, when, you know, before I even found about the, you know, the license creator situation, in the Discord I was in, you know, we were doing networking and stuff. Everybody would just say, well, if only I could get my girl to do this, right? If only I could find a girl that looked like this or that could do this,
Yeah.
right? Well, when we saw AI, we were like, you know, like this is probably going to be a big thing. What if we could use AI to just replace the girl, right? What if we could just use AI and then we don't have to worry about that anymore, and now we could just have unlimited perfect girls, right? And it's become that a couple years later, and here we are, and it's literally a full-blown operation, and that's what got us into it, right? Everything we're doing is about efficiency as a business. Now, I have no flack against the girls, particularly. It's not personal, it's business. You know what I mean? Like, we understand that what we're doing is gonna put a lot of them out of business. I'm sorry, but like, it's not personal, it's just business, you know? There's no possible way that we can scale as fast as we have scaled, right, to a multi-8-figure business.
real creators.
With real creators, it would be impossible. No one in the world can do that, right?
And
No
I think
one in
that's
the
a
world.
big misconception in the OF space too, not to cut you off, but like it's like the top dogs will stay the top dogs because they have the top
Of course.
creators, right? And that's the only way they'll be able to maintain and sustain is because they have those big creators. But when other agencies come in and try to swoop up these smaller creators, they're not going to stay around for long, you know, because they're not making enough money. They barely get scaled up a little bit.
It's a hustle.
They make like 5 to 10% extra on top of it. And then your creator is emotional, and one day she doesn't like how you talk to her, so now she's gone.
So that's the first part of it. Now, the second part is that most people in that space fundamentally have no idea how money's actually built over time in the social media business, right? If you go to any of these like Telegrams or Discords, whatever, there isn't actually discourse about how to build a viral brand, about what viral content is, about what branding and real long-term marketing and brand building looks like, okay? Now, I didn't know anything about this a few years ago either, but luckily I had really good mentors that taught me everything, and now I think I'm pretty much a pro. I mean, I have a lot of proof to show that I'm probably one of the best in the space because I've literally taken people off the street, taught them how to brand with my education for free, and now they're doing $200,000 a month, you know?
Yeah.
How many people have done that, you know? Literally guys off the street. And, you know, so like there's one thing like taking like a random, we're literally just giving people photos in a vault and giving them tools to turn it into videos and a bunch of free education. And all of that combined is leading to guys making $200K a month.
Yeah, it's
that's
nuts.
crazy, you know? And so I think that I have a lot of proof to say that I'm probably one of the best in the space at this. Most of these guys have no idea. The guys that are selling the OF courses, they don't have a clue. And part of the reason is because, you know, you can't really build a viral brand if you have an inconsistent girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you got to kind of find other ways to hustle. And so back in the day, I was doing that. I was doing all these hustles. They're inconsistent, you
Yeah,
know?
it's
They
inconsistent.
stop working. They get shut down by the social media
Or
platforms.
they go travel.
You know, whatever it is, you know, the hustle, whatever it is, usually has like a massive like cap. You know what I mean? Like, sure, maybe you can make like 20 or 30K a month, but like you kind of stop yourself. You can't get to that like 300K, 500K number by doing that. You have to grow viral on social media. Now, some people, you know, they have good creators.
Yeah.
Very few people. They're extremely rare, right? Good for
0.01%.
extremely rare, you know?
Yeah.
So good for you. But if you're buying a course thinking that you're just going to magically get one of those girls, you're not. Now with the AI, everybody can have a great creator. So now the skill becomes not having the great creator, but about knowing how to brand and market that creator, right? And so what we teach people is how to actually brand, how to actually market, how to build something that's going to last over a long period of time. We have many people running Girls that have been around for over a year that have done like 7 figures in revenue already, and there's no end in sight. Every day they make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. Their renewals are stacking up. Their long-term audience base is stacking up. They continue to diversify their audience base as we teach them more in the education and they get better, right? That's a real business. That's a real skill. You know what I mean? Social media is not going anywhere, right? These girls are not going anywhere. In fact, the audience is almost certainly going to appreciate over time, right? Because the technology is going to get better, right? If in the future the technology becomes, well, now you can have a girl doing a full podcast like we're doing right now, and you have 1 million followers. Okay, great. Now you have a podcast. You know, you literally have a podcast overnight that you could probably move 20, 30,000 like dedicated long-term fans to, and just make more off those people. And now you have a new thing that's going to grow, right? And so the audience, it grows and grows. It's circular. It just keeps building on itself, right? In comparison to like a black hat operation that is capped. There's no actual value being built. The end of the value equation in those operations is on the OF side when the money is made, right? For example, dating apps, right? That was a big one that people were talking about in 2022, and it's complete fucking bullshit of the highest regard, right? People are saying, do this, do that. Number one, it's always changing. Number two, it's really expensive. Number three, it doesn't provide any long-term value, right? You spend your money on the dating app. The guys, you know, they funnel in through the Snapchat or the Instagram, whatever it is, right? You get them to go to the OF. They spend money. Now, maybe you run a profit because your profit on the OF is bigger than your expenses.
But you've got to split that with the girl.
That, and then after that, right, after it ends, right, they spend the money. It's done. There's no value equation. So the second the dating app nukes you, right, it's done. The second the girl leaves you, it's done, right? You don't have a long-term skill set that's actually going to run up. In comparison to the people that are coming into us, they come in with nothing. We give them a creator. They build a brand. They start making $20K a month. Well, now what do they have? They have the audience. They have the brand. They have the skills, right? And guess what we do? Hey, do you want another good creator so you can scale your agency? Yeah, of course I do. I know exactly what to do now. They take the second creator, they blow her up 10 times faster, right? Hey, do you want a third one? Do you want a fourth one? Do you want a fifth one? We have many guys running 4, 5, 6 creators, right? All kinds of different niches, or if they're comfortable with a certain type of niche, we give them more of that, right? And they know exactly what to do. They know exactly how to brand it, and they blow it up, you know? And now they have a $100,000 per month business, and they're printing, and it's built on an actual foundation, right? It's built on skill sets for social media. It's built on the branding abilities. It's built on the AI creators that are not going anywhere, that are only going to get better. That person has a real 7-figure business. It's going to be there for years, right? No different than the rare person that actually has a legitimate high quality creator, okay? And what happens? The high quality creator is with them for years. But that's like a 1 in a million situation, you know? Those are extremely rare, you know? With this, it's way more common and way more likely, and the everyman can do it, right? You don't need anything to start. That's the difference.
Right, and I think also, you know, I think there's a huge misunderstanding with the AI side of things, because a lot of people don't think that these AI girls make money because they're like, oh, it's fucking AI. It looks like shit. You know, the quality isn't there. But I don't think a lot of people understand that some of these creators look really fucking good where people don't even know online that it's an AI girl.
Yeah. So what I would say to that is, number one, they're in their echo chambers, right? Back to the OF days. You know, everybody was just in an echo chamber, right?
I was one of them.
And, you know, like I had my own thoughts about things. And when I would say, you know, I'm doing something completely different, I would get shit on for that, you know, and looked down upon, gossiped about, you know. Even to this day, I'm still in that situation. Now, I don't care, obviously, about those things. But people, they're afraid to look outside their box, number 1. Number 2, a lot of people, they're stubborn, right? And so we're like, hey, let us help you. We'll provide you this amazing creator who looks completely real. Like, we have this amazing technology. No, I want to do it myself because I don't like your percentage split. That's like one of the main things we hear from people specifically in that space, but in general, right? That's one of like the rebuttals. And they go try it on their own. They're incapable of using the technology. Number 2, they have no idea what an actual viral piece of content is. They might think they know, but they don't actually know anything about marketing or viral content at all, right? And so they try to market their creator and then they have no content to sell, right? Because they don't know how to make the NSFW, which is way harder. And still no one at scale has actually proved how to do that in terms of really high quality content, which we have a long time ago.
Yeah, because you guys provide an
Everything.
SFW on top of SFW.
Everything, every kind of whatever you can think of, and with extreme quality, which is why our creators monetize so well.
Right.
But back to my point, all of those situations happen, right? The person tries, they fail, and then they say there can't be money to be made with AI. They go back to what they're comfortable with, which is the real creator, right? Whereas we're like, hey, if you just tried with us and you followed our instruction, you almost certainly would make money, right?
Rich.
So it's echo chamber, it's stubbornness, right? And it's what they don't know what they don't know,
I think
right?
it's ego too.
Ego as well, right? And so the people that have come to us and they're just like, okay, Steven knows what he's talking about. We're in a good position here. I'm going to use his creators because they're the best and just do what he says. They just start printing, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe it takes 3, 4, 5, 6 months for them to learn. I'm not guaranteeing anyone is going to get rich. If you don't come in and do the work, then good luck. You're not going to figure anything out. But it's like we have a formula for a reason and it works, right? It's systemized. It's proven to work. I had to think out how can we run 100,000 AI creators and give something to people, a system to people that can be replicatable, right? That everybody can use, that everybody can make money from for the next 10 years. That's a really complicated thing. That's much more complicated than any Joe Schmo running a 2-3 creator agency on their own, coming up, well, how can I make like 20K or 30K this month? Those are two completely different things, right? They have nothing to do with each other, right? And so the strategies that I built allow for everyone to make money. Now, of course, some people make more money because they're more detail oriented, they work harder, they pay attention to detail in terms of the education, better mindset. Maybe they invested a lot more money, right? Because, money in, or sorry, money out for the spending, whatever, usually leads to money in.
Right.
Maybe they're just better at the branding and the content side. They've been around longer, whatever it is. But the people that have stuck with it and worked the hardest, they end up making money, right? And so that's the thing that I see. And then when I chat with people about it, which is why I just stopped doing that and we just do our own marketing. It's just the same things happen over and over again.
The same convo.
And I literally just tell people, I'm like, I know exactly what you're gonna say. This is exactly what you should do, but I know what you're gonna do and this is what you're gonna do.
Right.
And they look at me like I'm a crazy person because I know what they're thinking.
Right.
I'm like, I had this conversation 100 times already. I know exactly what you're gonna do. I know exactly what you're thinking, what you're gonna say. They think they're on like some other level, It's like I have the data from thousands of creator profiles. I've been in this space for years. We've done tens of millions of dollars of revenue, grown hundreds of millions of followers on social media across every platform. How are you gonna tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about? I know exactly what you need to do to make money, right? Now, some people, I know you wanna say something, some people, the 1% or maybe even the 0.1%, they can go on their own and they can make money. Good for you. I commend you. You know what I mean? If I was in your position, I would probably be the exact same way, right? The problem is that of the 99.9% that are out there, most of them think they're in that 0.1% when they're not, I guarantee that they're not, but they think that they are, and they sputter and they lie to themselves. Those who don't have ego and those who are honest with themselves, in this world, they make the most money.
Yeah.
Okay? There is no tomorrow, right? Today is the answer, right? You got to start now because AI is moving crazy fast, right? If you don't build value right now, put yourself in a position to make money that's not going to be replaced, you will be replaced soon. It's happening to tons of people, right?
Yeah.
The way to do that is by growing audience. But if you have shit content, if you have no infrastructure, if you lack technological skills, what the fuck do you think you're doing going on your own trying to make money in this business that's changing fast? And if your answer is to say, well, I'm just going to stick with the real creators because the AI is not, you're a moron and you're going to be out of business soon. Like I said, most of them are hustlers, not serious businessmen, right? They're ticking time bombs. Just because your time hasn't come doesn't mean it's not going to come, right? For me, when I look at a lot of people, it's not if they go out of business, it's when.
Yeah.
It's when they go out of business, right? Just because you're making money now doesn't mean you're going to be making money in a year from now, right?
And you see this a lot with agencies that run one creator. That's all their hustle is. It's like once that creator's gone, you have no business, you have no cash flow. Nobody's gonna believe this when you talk about it, but you have people on your platform making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month off of images only. No videos, no NSFW videos, solely images. It's gonna piss people off because they're like, I'm managing all these creators that are doing, freaking shoving toothbrushes up their ass. And they're not making 10K a month.
One of our craziest success stories, we have a guy, and he's from the Philippines. He's Filipino, and he was a former virtual assistant. So like he was literally like a VA, making like $100, $200 a week, whatever it is. He was working in the OF space as like a chatter. And he found our offer just as like a one-off thing on Telegram. And he thought that, I could just like run AI creators myself. And he couldn't do it, right? He found my thing. He's like, okay, I'm going to start this. He started seeing results. Now, once we saw the results, I pushed him. I said, hey, you got to start focusing on the marketing more. He learned how to do it. We gave him a new creator, a higher quality creator. That creator last month in January of 2026 did $197,000 in gross revenue just selling photos in 1 month.
Just off images.
Just off images, no videos.
Come on, bro.
Obviously, he has excellent chatting and he has an excellent brand. He has, over 1 million followers across, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all the social medias. But just selling photos.
But
right?
people can't even do that, doing everything under the sun with the real creators.
That would be in the top like 0.0001% of real creators. That's bigger than most real creators in the entire space.
That's fucked.
And he's done that for several months. Like December was 180K. The month before was like 150K. Like he's gonna have like a well over 7-figure year just from that creator. And he has more creators that he's running. So overall, he's doing like way over 200K in gross. His take home after expenses is probably like around a 50% number.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. It's like, I mean, I don't know how many businesses are doing, multi-million-dollar a year in revenue with a 50% profit margin, but I think that's pretty good,
Not to mention he went from making $100 to $200 a week to now making.
Well, he's rich. I mean, like he's full-blown rich.
He's a millionaire in the Philippines.
I mean, if he's making 100,000 US a month in the Philippines, like that's, that's crazy. That's like being a multi-millionaire per month in basically every other country in the world.
Yeah.
So good for him. He's living his life. He has a family and they're traveling and they're doing things now. And so it's a crazy situation, but that would be an example of like a higher end outcome. We have tons of people that are also doing 50, 60, 70, 80K. We have moms, and believe it or not, like we have a whole ladies community, literally have like moms. I'm not sure if they're, like they have a family or whatever in terms of like a husband, but literally like moms that are home, like take care of their kids and they're working on this during the day. And our biggest success story, I think this month they're going to do around 50 to 70K in gross revenue. Like literally someone just working from home as a mom. So every end of the spectrum is covered. You know what I mean? We have young hustlers, guys who are 19, 20. We have people in third world countries. We have girls, guys, like literally everything you could imagine. People are running these creators and they're having success when they're putting in the work and, they're watching our education. They're doing the things that we say. It's that simple. In terms of the photos, there is no magic sauce, right? There isn't like these people are doing better, so we're giving them like some special tools.
Some special content.
None of that exists, right?
Yeah, it's all the same.
What's even crazier is that guy that's doing 197K, when the video tech does come, which it will very soon,
God, he's gonna make so much
imagine
money.
how much more he's gonna make,
Yeah.
right? And so where's the real value, right? His audience, right? He has a huge audience for this creator that's doing amazing, right? When the monetization stuff improves, he's going to keep making money from it, right? And so all the people that come to us and say, well, the AI can't do this, the AI can't do that. Well, it can do a lot of things, It can grow a huge social media following. It can make a lot of money, right? All of those things is completely proven over large sample sizes with all kinds of different people doing it, right? These aren't like, geez, this, that, huge rich guys. Like these are just normal, everyday people from all over the world.
Joe Schmoes.
Ready to come and work hard and they want to learn how to make money online and they're making it happen, right? And they have the brands now, right? This guy's got 1 million fucking followers on that creator. She ain't going anywhere. You know what I mean?
It's his.
It's his. He got some long-term loyal fans that are willing to spend a shit ton of money. That's just going to continue forever, literally for forever. And we're just going to keep giving him more. Hey, you want to run another one? Yeah, I want one like this. No problem. Here, take it. It'll probably also become 100K because guess what? He knows exactly what to do. And everything on social media is about systemization. You figure out a system that works, you replicate that system over and over and over again. It's nothing crazy. The problem is that most people have no idea how it works. They think it's luck. They think going viral is luck. Do you think that Filipino is getting lucky month after month, making 150 to 200K a month?
No shot.
No, he's not.
No
He's
shot.
a fucking brilliant guy because he watched our education and stuck to the work and he grinds every fucking day on it. He works really hard doing the things that we told him to do. It's not random. Virality is absolutely not random. It's a system.
Everybody wants to get rich online. They don't want to work a job. They don't want to go to school. Would you say this is the easiest way for somebody coming out of high school, 18, 19 years old, to make their first $1,000, $5,000, or $10,000?
Yeah, I would say it's a very good way to do it. I mean, you have to be 18 plus.
Yeah.
We just want to say that. So if you're not, then we won't approve you. We're very serious about that. But what I would say is a lot of people that are coming out of high school these days are questioning whether they should go to university, whether they should go to college, whatever, right? And a lot of people have these negative influences where their parents or their teachers or their, their guidance counselors, whatever, tell them that you have to go this route. Well, those people, generally speaking, are in a box, right?
Correct.
Or they're being paid to tell you that, right? Your guidance counselor, whatever, like they don't know anything. Like they're just being paid to tell you what they're supposed to tell you. Same with the teacher or whatever, right? These institutions are just trying to make money off you. They're trying to get you trapped in it, right? There's a reason they'll give you debt to go to school, but not give you debt to start a business, right? Because if you have debt to go to school, guess what? You're trapped in the 9-to-5 system, right? You're stuck in it for life. There's nothing you can do because you're in the debt. You got to pay it back, right? Which I think is fucking crazy, by the way. I never did that.
Well, a lot of people are starting to realize that college is like a fucking government level course scam. You pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to go learn something that you can't even use for the rest of your life probably, or you won't enjoy doing, and you maybe are guaranteed to make a couple $1,000s a month if you're lucky.
I would also say that a lot of the stuff is becoming obsolete because of AI. And so I'm sure like they're going to claim that they have new programs that teach you stuff, whatever, and you could still learn things, but it's like most people are just not going to have jobs in the future. Like most people are just going to have UBI provided by governments and businesses. And we can get into what I think about is going to happen with AI and whatever. I mean, some people might look at it as utopian. Some people might look at it as dystopian. I just look at it as reality. It is what it is, you know? And so if you want to go to school in the future, number one, I think school is going to basically be free in the future, right? Because with AI, you're going to have like all these education campuses that can teach you whatever you want. And there's already a trend of that happening, right? Like we have like Hustlers University, for example, with like the Tates. It's like, it's basically like really cheap to go learn a lot of pretty valuable stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like free plug for them, but it's like if you don't want to do like creator stuff, you could go there. But it's like it's only $50 a month.
That's it.
You know what I mean? You don't have to pay $100,000 a year to go do crazy stuff. That's a complete waste of time. You'll actually learn valuable skills. Now ours is free, and you'll actually learn valuable skills, right? So there's like a trend of people offering crazy amounts of education for really low amounts, right? And now AI, you can go to Claude or ChatGPT, whatever, and ask it anything, and you'll know really quickly within like 5 seconds what the answer to that thing, and it'll teach you whatever you want, right? You want to learn how to code? You can learn through there, right? And you don't even need to know how to do these things anymore for the most part. You can just tell it what you want, it'll produce it for you, right? And so what I think for a lot of people who are 18, 19, if you don't want to go to college, you got to ask yourself, what do I actually know, right? What do I actually know, right? Nothing. You know nothing, right? You learn a bunch of nonsense in school. Maybe you didn't do that great, whatever it is. But that doesn't mean that you can't make a lot of money, right? All it means that you need to start learning actual skills that are going to turn to money. Those are two different things, right? You can go learn a bunch of shit at university, but it doesn't mean jack if it's not going to lead to making money, right? Now, the second thing you have to ask yourself is what skills are not going to be replaced by AI? That's the second question you have to ask, right? And that's something that's completely misunderstood by most people, in my opinion, right? Now, what I think AI is going to do is it's going to replace product, right? Okay, right now you need developers, you need this in a website. In the future, you just tell AI what you want, it'll build it, right? So the value of product is going to go to zero. So that means that everybody now has a product. Well, if everybody has a product, not everybody can make sales. So then what happens, right? Something has to go up in value if something's going down, right? What's going to go up in value is the value of audience, branding, and marketing, okay? Social media is not going anywhere. It's only going to get bigger, in my opinion, right? What's going to happen is if everyone has a product, who's going to make money? The people that know how to market.
And that can get eyes
on it.
The
people that have audience. Yeah. If you grow 10 million followers this year, you're going to be so far ahead of everybody else because that audience doesn't go bad. That's what we're giving you the ability to do, to grow the audience, okay? And so, again, our creators are a product, right? In the past, you had to have real creators.
As the product.
Almost nobody was able to have a good product. Now, anybody in the whole world, whether you're in the Philippines, you're in Europe, you're in America, you're 18, you're 45, everybody can have the most amazing product. So who makes the money? Everybody has a product. Who makes the money? Literally, products are zero now. We're giving them for free.
Yep.
So who makes the money? The people that commit to the marketing the best, right? So if you're 18, 19 years old, to me, the most valuable skill set is learning how to market and learning how to brand and applying yourself to building audience in a niche that's actually going to maintain value for a long time. Now, I choose to do it in the AI creator space, in the influencer for like the models and the girls and stuff, right? Because I think that that's an evergreen space. There's huge amounts of liquidity in it, huge amounts, a never ending amount, an always increasing amount, but very minimal competition. No matter how much we tell people that this is an amazing thing to do, very few people in general are interested, let alone like all the people that we tell that are in the space already that decide they don't want to do it, right? Outside of that, right, actual new entrance to the space is actually way less than people think, right? Because it's very taboo, right? You could go tell a group of 1,000 people that are broke, hey, you could run AI models, and how many of them are actually going to want to do it? Probably not that many, you know what I mean? And of the ones that actually want to do it, how many are going to actually stick with it and do the things required to make the money over the long run? We're talking about like a very small amount of people, right? And so, you know, it's taboo. You know, things move in waves. They go ebbs and flows and stuff, especially with respect to the adult and the AI creator space. And so right now, I think that things are kind of flowing down. I think when I entered the space, things were kind of at their peak back in like the 2021, 2022 time. And now things are kind of coming down the other way for, you know, various political and social reasons or whatever. I'm not going to get into them. And so, you know, if you're looking for something like that, this is the best opportunity. It's literally free. You're broke, 18, 19. You can start for free and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? Change your literal life destiny because of this. But you got to be willing to be in the space, right? And so a lot of them will say, oh, I don't want to do that. So what do? They go see where everybody else is going and they go do that thing. Well, if everybody else is doing it, that doesn't mean it's a good idea for you to do, right? If all your buddies are going to college, it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. It just means all your buddies are going to college.
Yeah.
Those are two completely different things.
Well, also, the info product space is a huge space the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years. And a lot of people are getting absolutely fucking raped on these courses, getting charged thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
They don't see results. And I think this also makes a lot of people skeptical about your offer because they've been through the ringer.
Completely good point.
And they don't realize that you're actually providing everything for free. There's no hidden fees. There's no upsells. I get so many people saying, hey, you know, I didn't even check it out because I'm scared that I'm going to get hit with something. Like, elaborate on like... You know, I tell people it's free, but you know, some people are so hesitant because they're like, "Oh, I mean, well, you know, I'm worried. I lost money on this." You know,
it's a good point. So I would say a few things. It literally is free. Like we don't charge anything. We do recommend that, you know, you do things like ad spend,
right?
But that's ad spend to your creators. Like you're not paying us.
You don't lose anything.
So it's like we're trying to encourage you to like teach you how to grow your brand so you build value for yourself. So like your investment is in yourself, not in us.
Yep.
The same thing is true with like credits. We're like, hey, it's probably a good idea to spend a little bit of money to turn your, you know, make good content because it could lead to a huge amount of money.
Correct.
And like, you know, if you don't have like $100 or $200 a month to spend on that stuff, then what I would say is you don't have to, because there are many people that just use the photos and do marketing on TikTok or Instagram or Threads or Twitter and are able to still make good money. And then once they run up the money, they reinvest it, right? Yeah. All business requires investment, right? The more you invest, the more you can make, right? Yeah. Big e-commerce companies, they spend crazy amounts of money per day on paid ads because they know there's going to be a return.
Right.
So it is free. Right. We recommend stuff, but those things are to be an investment in yourself,
to make
not
more
for
money.
Us to make money. So it's not like, hey, you know, it's free, but here's like a $500 course upsell that really teaches you everything. Like there's none of that stuff.
That's another thing. People don't realize that you guys have an education is 80 hours long, showing you everything,
and it grows constantly.
And not only that, but you're not hiding anything, because like you said in the beginning, the more money they make, the more money your business makes.
Yeah.
And this is something that I kind of applied to the real creator spaces. I tell creators, I'm like, hey, like, I know you're skeptical about the percentage, but it's like, I don't make money unless you make money, right? So a lot of people don't understand that it's in your best interest to give them as much resources as possible for them to make more money. Because if they don't make money, you don't make money.
Yeah, I would also say another thing is that, like, I'm not like a super flashy guy, you know what I mean? Like I'm more of just like a regular dude.
Yeah.
And even though like the business has done well and we've been making a lot of money, it's never been like my first instinct to like spend that money in any particular way. You know, like I'd rather just like keep my life pretty simple. It doesn't mean that I'm against that stuff. Like I eventually will do things, whatever. But generally speaking, like we're just on the computer working all day, right? You don't really have that much time to go out and splurge and do these crazy things. Now, for me, when I think about money, I like to think about freedom. You know, it's like, I don't want to have stress, you know? I can go to whatever restaurant I want. And sometimes I go to expensive restaurants because I can.
Yeah.
I don't go there to like show off. I never take videos there like that I post publicly, at least. I just keep things to myself.
Yeah.
And the same thing is true with like the gym or like whatever, like food. Like I'll do all these things because I can afford it, but it's not because, you know, I don't have money to like go and do crazy stuff to show off, right? But a lot of people with info products, they don't understand that money does not necessarily mean stuff, you know, like money does not necessarily mean materialism, right? There's nothing necessarily wrong with materialism, but that's like a common tool that people that sell stuff, they use to make money, right?
Absolutely.
And so a lot of young guys, they're influenced by that because they don't really know how the world works. And so they're like, you know what? Like this guy is showing me this crazy stuff. Like he must have it going on. I'm going to buy his thing. It's like, if you want me to go like buy something to like, it's just craziness, you know? It's like,
it is, yeah.
You know, so one of the hardest things for people to do is like, who do you actually listen to?
Who do you trust?
You know? one of my best skills, and like I don't know why this is, but like maybe I just have a natural instinct for things after my poker background. We can talk about that, but I just know like who the right people are. I have a long history of making good decisions about like who to do business with, who the right people to trust is when it comes to financials, for investments, for the company, who to bring on. Like I just have an instinct for it. How is that the case? Maybe it's natural. Maybe it's a learned thing over time. Maybe it's both, right? A lot of guys that are like 18, 19, 20, they don't have that, right? So like, why listen to me, right? Well, like the first thing would be like, it's free. The second thing is that I have like a direct incentive to help you, right? The third thing is that like there's relatively low risk on your part. Like there's, you can't really go wrong, right?
Not to mention, a lot, just like you said yourself, you make a lot of money, but you stay low key. You don't post anything and you don't go buy stupid shit, right? There's a lot of people that want to make a lot of money, like OF level money, but they don't want to do OF or they don't want anybody to know what they're doing. So there's probably a ton of people
another way as well,
in
that's
the
a good point.
offer. It's like everybody wants to make fucking, Sophie Rain $43 million in a year, but they don't want to put themselves out there like Sophie Rain or sell their body. This is the perfect opportunity for them because they can manage a creator and nobody has to know that they're behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think definitely that's a good point. I think a lot of girls could take advantage of that as well.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of girls that want to make money online, obviously like 18 plus everything, but, they're like, I don't want to, put my body out there or my face out there. How can I like make money through social media? Maybe some of them like try to be like social media managers. I think that's kind of like a dead thing. Like that was a big thing, like, 3-4 years ago. This is a pretty good way. It's like now you can actually like manage these brands. You have all these creative ideas, but you don't want to put yourself out there. Some of our biggest winners from the offer, like they're girls, it's like they're like 25, 30. We have moms who are like 40, 50 and like they're crushing it, It's a crazy thing. And, I think that it's a good spot for a lot of them to take advantage of, of course, other people as well. But I think specifically, like we can target that demographic here. I think that I think it makes a lot of sense for them to be a part of this, and it's like also like the stuff you put on the internet is there forever. This podcast is here forever.
It's here forever.
I understand.
And
so
it's like
at the end of the day, it's like if you go and you do OF whatever, like your content it's on the internet forever, no matter what. And so right now you're young, you're 21, you're excited, you want to make a little bit of money. 5-6 years from now, hey, you might not want to be that person. You might want to get married or have kids or something.
Settle down.
Well, with this, you can make all the money from it, but without the downside risk, which I think is a very interesting point.
Well, there's that girl, Camilla. She just lied about quitting her OnlyFans to sell a course to other OnlyFans girls for like $5,000 on like how to make OnlyFans level money, right? All these girls are going to go drop $5,000. They're going to be told how many times to post a day, and then they're going to be left with nothing. But here, they can come in for free. They can stay low key. And nobody knows what they're doing, but they're still making OF level money. It's insane how
5K is a lot of money.
5K is a lot of money, dude.
I mean, if you took the 5K and you just invested into your creator, you could like take that money and run up a ton of social medias. You could have content for day, like for years, potentially, like all this stuff built up. Like you could basically have like an entire brand that can run essentially forever. And then you'll for sure have cash flow at the end of it if you like, and then like that would be crazy, right? In comparison to spending 5K to like buy a simple course. And then Camilla, I mean, maybe it's a good course, I don't know.
Sure,
but like Camilla is telling you all this stuff. Like she's definitely a pro. But I mean, like I think most people would probably benefit from spending the money on themselves rather than, giving it to somebody else. And then, you're still going to get the same level of direction from our side in comparison, right? It's not like we're not giving you support. It's the same level of support, except
Absolutely.
You don't pay anything to us. You invest in yourself, right? So, I think that her situation is meant for creators who like, they want to be on camera, which is cool. But like, I would probably guess there's a way more people that don't want to be on camera in comparison to people that do, in the world.
You have girls.
I'm not sure what you think about that.
You have girls that'll go to ChatterBait or they'll go to these streaming platforms because it's more low key. But then they have to do the most still on these platforms, and it still gets leaked. Those same girls could come to the offer. They could come run an AI model and put just as much effort, if not more time, into this and make way more money.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, the single mom she made $7,000 in a day.
Yeah.
How often is it that a OnlyFans girl or a ChatterBait girl can go online
and do 7K in sales.
And do 7K in a day without being on stream for fucking 10 hours.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know?
And by the way, she didn't do any of the chatting or the monetization because she's a mom. So she was doing her mom stuff plus also
and everything else
managing the
was
socials. And then we just handled the rest for her. Of course, we took a cut, but it's like we did all that. And we produced a 7K in sales with our internal team, you know? And so it's like, it's kind of a no-brainer in my opinion. You were doing OF for a long time, right? Yeah. In all different kinds of capacities, whether running an agency or being involved your girlfriend or whatever the situation is. You had a whole brand built out with the Check brand on Instagram, but now you've transitioned that brand and your focus completely to the AI creator space, to working with my business, promoting that. What did that process look like? What was your experience like in the OF world? And what made you realize that, hey, like this is probably the end of that time and it's time to transition to the AI world? What was that process like?
Well, you know, it's crazy. When I got into the OF space, I was dating this porn star. That's how I got into it. And the whole principle was, I'm going to make her more money and I'm going to take a percentage of it and I'll be able to make my money as well. The issue is once I parted ways with her, business gone. Don't have anything to show for it other than the 40, 50K that I saved up in my bank account over the 6 months. And like, I'm over here making these crazy TikToks with her, dropping her off at her porn shoots, making a fool of myself for, you know, an extra 5 to 10K, right? You know, she's going to get banged by Johnny Sins and I'm like taking a picture with him, you know, it's like, you know, and then the business is gone. And then I made 40, 50K, made a fool of myself. And now I have to go and find more creators to manage and actually build another agency. And when I saw your opportunity, your business in specific, there's no barrier to entry, right? And I've sold a lot of courses. I've helped a lot of guys in the OFM space make a lot of money, but I want to help more people make money. And the best way to do that is by giving them an opportunity that doesn't cost anything, because there's nobody in the online space, online business industry, whatever, that's providing true free value like this platform. So when I jumped on with you and you showed me the platform, I'm like, damn, literally everything's free. For me, it was a no-brainer because now the same guys that couldn't pay me 3 to 5K, I can go and I can say, hey, here's an opportunity for you to still make money without having to go and build an OFM agency or find creators and do all this outreach. Now you can go pick up a model. She has content ready to go and you can monetize off of it and you can make money and you don't spend a single dollar to get started. For me, it's a no-brainer because why, like you said, how many people have 3 to 5K laying around to go buy a course?
I mean, most people don't. And it seems to me that people are getting broker these days.
And the problem is
Life is tough.
Yeah, exactly. And I also noticed a lot of mentors or a lot of OFM guru guys, because I've seen all the guys come through to me, right? They've been in other courses, they've been in other communities. There's really no true value being provided.
Yeah.
There's no true value being provided.
We've heard similar sentiment from people in our community.
Yeah, and a lot of trust is being broken down because these guys aren't seeing the results that they want. But now you can build ultimate trust because you don't have anything to sell these guys.
And for you with your brand, I mean, you care about your audience a lot.
Yeah.
And you're in a position where it's like, hey, I can actually provide an amazing value for my audience without charging them anything. And of course, like you make money off of it. And we can discuss how that works afterwards with referrals and stuff to be transparent. I care a lot about transparency, but it's like you actually genuinely care about the people that you're promoting to, that you want them to be successful, right?
Literally.
And so in the past, you tried to help them by selling a course, but now you realize the new best way to do that is by offering this AI situation for free. They all get to start and have a legitimate chance to make money for free. And you making money off them has no impact on them making money.
Not at all.
Right? And so to transparently explain, he's an affiliate, right? So we have a huge affiliate offer, right, that I designed. And basically the way it works is that we give percentages of the creator's gross profits to the person that referred them, right? That doesn't impact the creator and how much money they make. So if someone comes in, they still get their 60%, right? But my business has the 20%. I pay a large sum from my 20% to you or any of the affiliate in order for the referral, right? And that's a lifetime number. It's for every single creator that person runs forever, right? And so if they come in and they be hyper successful, right? And they have 5-6 creators and they do 200K a month, you would get a percentage of that 200K for life.
For life.
You know?
And it's a similar concept. OnlyFans has the affiliate code where if you refer a creator and they sign up with your link, you get 5% of their earnings, and they don't even do it for lifetime. You get 5% of their earnings for like the first year or up to the first 50K that they make, right? So it's the same concept.
Ours is unlimited for life. And so like our biggest affiliate so far is currently making roughly 5,000 to 6,000 US per week.
Per week, yeah.
Getting paid out in crypto, by the way. We do crypto affiliate payments. And 5 to 6K per week because he referred some really big,
one whale,
literally like one massive whale. And so like the people that are the biggest, at least right now in the affiliates, they just like referred a bunch of people and then like
1 or 2 of
3
them
people became like whales, you know? And then like they're just getting a huge cut of like, but like at scale, imagine you had like 10,000 people running for years at a time. Like we're talking about making millions of dollars.
And
And so that's transparently like what you're planning to do is to like help all these people make money, and then you also get paid out from it. Everybody wins, right? And like that's always been my goal as the business owner is like, how can I create an incentive structure that everybody is happy, right? The platform is happy, I'm happy, the referral is happy, and the user is happy, right? And I feel like I've done that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, because not only that, but being in the OFM space for so long, running a mentorship and making a lot of money off of that, I've also come to realize, number one, there's no longevity in it. Number two, there's too many people trying to do it. And I think it's a big bubble that's about to pop, because you can only go to about 5 to 10 different OFM gurus before you realize they're all selling the same shit, and you're not going to really get much out of it at the end of the day. And if
Do you think that's going to be the case for the AI OFM gurus that are kind of selling these like $200 courses and mentorships?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of AI OFM gurus that are like, oh, I just made this tool for $40 that you can go use and build your own AI creator. Cool. You build an AI creator, you don't have anything else. You don't have any actual content. You don't have any NSFW content. You're fucked. You're not going to be able to monetize off of that. Sure, you can make reels. But for example, there's a girl, we'll throw it up on the screen. She's like the fastest growing AI girl, and she's like painted black. She's probably making 10K a month. What kind of content are they selling on her page?
Also, the audience is really bad.
And the audience isn't good, you know? Yeah. It's like people know it's not real.
That's definitely a trend that's happening right now. I'm noticing there's a lot of people with like a lot of slop content, and you really got to make sure that like what you're designing is a brand that's going to reach the quality demographic. That's almost more important. Like some of our biggest creators have like 150K followers. They make 90K a month, you know?
Yeah, it's insane.
Other people have creators that have 800K followers and they do like 7K, you know?
10K, yeah.
Because like they don't know how to monetize. They have crap audience demographics. They have a crap brand. So like they're going viral, but not all virality is the same. Not all views are equal. And that's something that a lot of people who on the outside looking in
don't understand.
They don't understand, right? And that's true for real creators as well, by the way, in many situations. And so, you know, that's why you should always take things, number one, with a grain of salt when you see social media pages. You don't know the deal, right? You don't know if it's a 7% US page and the person has no content to sell. Everybody thinks everybody's rich, but it's not the case.
That not only that, this is a good point to make. I was telling somebody about this the other day. It's easy to look rich on social media. I can make 50K a month profit and make myself look like a mega millionaire. But in Miami, 50K is nothing, you know? So it's like, at the end of the day, these guys with the AI tools, these guys promoting these other platforms, not to mention a lot of the numbers are fluffed. A lot of these guys are posting results that aren't even real. And to be fair, even in the OFM space, it's kind of hard to fake numbers, right? So I feel like right now it's a big bubble in the AI side because guys are posting all these numbers. Oh, I did 62K in the last 14 days.
I mean, it was famous. I remember like a couple months ago, Piper Raquel started her OF and then she faked her numbers. And then all these other big. So like everybody thinks that she made the million on the first day. I mean, I don't know how she for sure made a lot of money, but like she didn't make that much. And then all these other like huge creators like Jamily Smith, like the Jelly Beans girl,
they called her out.
And Ariki Tsia, like they all called her out and they were like, you didn't do this. And then they're actually trying to be honest with their audience, especially like impressionable, like basically like girls that might want to do OF thinking like, oh, I'll just do this and make $1 million. It's like, no, you won't. And number one. Number two, they're lying for marketing, which was good marketing, by the way, but not the point. Unethical marketing, arguably, but it was still good. Number three, it's like, you know, at the end of the day, they don't want people to think, hey, this is like some easy thing with no risk. It's like, number one, you can make nothing. Number two, all this shit's on there forever, right? And you don't know how it's going to affect you in the long term. And so I think that that's like not a good thing, but that's very common these days, especially with like the internet and promotion. You know, everybody's fighting over, you know, kind of the same pool of people to get them to buy their shit. Why is someone going to buy yours over somebody else? You know?
Yeah, and you know, when it comes to the adult industry, everybody's like, oh, you know, this is super unethical. You guys are selling women's body. For me, transitioning from the real creator side to the AI side, it honestly feels a little more ethical than what I was doing before.
I would argue it is. I've heard many people have different opinions, but I've heard a lot of that opinion where it's like, well, basically you're just replacing the girl and you're taking away the opportunity from her. And they're like, well, I don't think the girl should be doing it in the first place. So that's a good thing. You know, if guys want to do it and they want to spend their money, who am I to say that someone shouldn't spend their money on something, right? But the main gripe with a lot of people is that the girl is kind of doing, but now that doesn't exist, right?
It doesn't exist.
Some people think, oh, well, you know, it's weird that you're like selling content. It's like, it's just a business at the end of the day. You know, it's all automated for the most part. And it's just, it is what it is. People want to consume stuff, right? So this is part of the taboo nature of the business that people are uncomfortable with, which is why there's such little competition in the space. It's like, no matter what I say or how much money I show or how much money we make, it's still not going to motivate anybody that doesn't want to do it, right? It's like a hard line. If you don't want to do this, you are never going to do it, right? If you're interested in doing it, you're probably going to try, and that's it, right? But the people actually interested in doing it are very few and far between, again, because of the taboo nature, right? And so a lot of people, there's like this whole thing like OnlyFans detected, opinion rejected or whatever on social media. I see a lot of that. There's like all these people like hating on it. I mean, maybe they're like, ex people that spent or whatever on the business. People are very dramatic. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that serious. It's just a business. It's like, it's never that serious.
I see people, they're like, oh, you're making men weaker. And it's like, bro, I'd honestly rather have a guy fucking beat off to my AI model than go chop his balls off and start blasting estrogen. Like, am I making men weaker? Is it really me? You know what I mean? It's like,
that's a fair point.
Like, fuck, like, at least like the guy still has his balls, and he's happy. He's not, if he wants to spend that money.
The world is going to do what it's going to do, and it's going to be what it's going to be. And
exactly.
I'm not the one that's the ultimate decider of those things.
I can't control that.
What I can do is I can understand where things are going to go and learn how to make money from it, and like that's my skill set. And I've been thinking this for a long time and trying to, position myself to make money from it. Many people, what I see very common is they just complain and they cause problems and they say like, they act like a victim. Like, why? It's like, that's your decision to be that person, right? The world is amazing for tons of people these days. It's never been easier to make money and to make huge amounts of it. There's so much opportunity to travel and do all these amazing things, but people are stuck getting upset, worrying about politics, worrying about this, not taking care of their physical health and their mental health and all of these things. That's your decision. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I don't really see that from like the people in our community. What I see is people that are willing to kind of not be a victim and take the lead and say, hey, this is a way to make money now. Like this is 2026. Like this is how money is made today. I don't give a fuck what happened 5-10 years ago, and I'm not going to live in the past. And what I see with broke people is they're all living in the past. Oh man, life used to be this way and it was blah, 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 blah. Who cares?
Nobody.
That's not what's happening now, right? Like you have to say, okay, well, things are changing. I got to change with it, right?
You either adapt or you get fucked.
And that's another thing. We were talking about this earlier in the podcast, but it's like with internet money, it's constantly changing. Like always. What I'm doing to make money is always iterating and changing, right? Like what I used to do a couple of years ago, I've built on top of it. A lot of it now is still running, but it's automated or changed slightly so we could scale. But it's like I had to change, right? Yeah. I had to become smarter. I had to move with where the money is going. If in 3 years from now, AI influencers is like no longer a thing and I have to pivot to something else, then I will. But I don't think that's the case. Like I believe we're building something for the next 10, 15 years, you know? So I'm going to stick with it, right? Yeah. But it's like whatever is required to make money, we are going to do, right? If we have to adjust our content strategies for the creators, we will adjust it, right? If it's time to move to podcasts, we will move to podcasts. Like whatever is required to make money, we will iterate. We won't get stuck in the mud, Absolutely not.
And that's why also to go back to why I transitioned from real creators to the AI side is I genuinely see running AI models as early as it is like buying Bitcoin back in 2013 when we were all playing fucking Modern Warfare 2. Like this is, it's so early still. The technology is finally at the point where you can make good money off of it, and it's still
a tiny
real.
Space,
and it's so tiny. And I genuinely, when I got presented the opportunity to come and promote the AI platform and be a part of the AI creator space, I'm like, I had a gut feeling. I'm like, this is the time. It's either now or it's never. Either now or I'm going to be too late, and I'm not going to make the amount of money that I want to make off of this because it's still so early. All the guys that are promoting the tools, all the guys that are selling those courses, they're not making a lot of money. It's going to be a pump and dump. It's not going to last. And then they're going to be fucked because their creator that they spent all this time trying to, create and try to make all this content, they don't have any longevity with it. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to AI Creator Marketplace, the brands are, the creator's there. You just have to go and build a niche around it. That's it. You just have to build a brand around it, and you don't lose your creator as long as you put in the work and as long as you monetize. Mm-hmm. It's like, this is as early as it gets to AI creators, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's very rare that you're in a position, at least for me as like someone running a business like that, you can be like literally like day one to the space. So we were like the first people, Yeah,
I mean, you guys have been on this for 2.5 years. I can only imagine, how much has changed from then.
A lot. It's improved significantly, I would say. Obviously, like there's more competition now, right? But I still think it's tiny in the grand scheme of things. You know, the amount of different social medias and ways to make money online, it's bananas. And like people are barely even scratching the surface, you know, and tons of these, like, it's actually crazy, you know? And so I think there's going to be a lot of growth in the space. I agree with what you're saying. I think it's going to be bigger than the real creator space by a lot, you know? Like I think that not just like, forget even just like the adult side, but like everything in general, you know? It's like movies and podcasts and everything. Like I always like to think like, what are real creators doing? Like when will AI take over that? You know, like when will AI become that? Because it will happen for sure at some point for most things that people are creating online, or people will use their own image, like AI avatars, and then they'll be able to mass produce content that's extremely high quality, that's indistinguishable from reality, using their AI avatar of themselves, right? Like if you don't have to sit there and film content yourself and you can just code it up on the computer quickly and it's indistinguishable from each other, that's pretty good. Now someone might say, well, it's not indistinguishable. It's just, you know, not yet, you know, like people, they live in now, not in what's going to happen, right? Yeah. Do you really think it's not going to get there? You really think it's not going to happen? You know, like when you're betting on a business or taking a risk of any kind, you can't be thinking about what is happening today. It's about where things are going, right? If you buy Bitcoin at the top of the market in Q4 of 2025, when it's 127,000 or whatever it was,
60K,
you fucked up, you know?
Yeah.
You have to be like, hey, this is probably the top. You know, maybe I should buy next year when it comes down. And like, I just bought a bunch when I went to 60K, you know, I'm like, you know, maybe it goes lower. I don't know. I'll buy more, but it's like, okay, now it's down like over 50%. It's probably a good time to kind of get positions back in the market. Right. And that's true for every market cycle. People just focus, you know, they basically FOMO in at the top. Yep. Right. Now there's good and bad to that. FOMOing in is usually how people get exposed to things. For example, that's how they get exposed to crypto in the first place or whatever it is. Right. The problem is that you missed the move, you know? And so you got to stick around during the shit time for it to eventually kind of run up again, right? Yeah. So now you got to live through a fucking year of Bitcoin going down 50 to 75%, like whatever it ends up going down before, and then you have to buy it through that time when everybody's saying it's dead and it's never coming back and whatever, only to wait another year or two for it to go back to the inevitable new all-time high or whatever it is. And then you see 100, 200, you know, maybe it goes up like 4 or 5x this cycle. I don't know what it ends up being, but the point is that that's true across every single market, right? The creator space, stocks, Bitcoin, any space, there's always a market, right? Yeah. OF had that time, right? Where every girl was FOMOing in, every guy was FOMOing in. There was a lot of money being dumped in the space, and now they're talking about selling the site. Do you really think a site that's going to sell is like thinking there's going to be this massive growth?
Upside, no.
Trust me, no one that runs a business that thinks there's going to be tremendous amounts of upside in their business is going to sell. We're never fucking selling. Right?
That's why I asked you one time, like, would you ever sell this? You're like, fuck no.
Dude, we're fucking expecting hundreds of X growth, you know? Like, what the fuck would we sell? But the OF guy, they've reached traffic saturation. The site is completely bricked up. He's probably a smart guy. He realized, hey, you know, it's like,
my bag.
I made a bag. It's a fucking nightmare owning this platform because of liability issues owning OF. It's a huge fucking issue. And, you know, he sees AI. He's like, I don't want to deal with this. You know what I mean? Fuck it, let me just sell. And it looks like they're going to sell to a, you know, an investment firm. And when investment firms like private equity comes in, like they're not innovators. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to fuck with what's making money. They're like, okay, if I buy this for $5 billion and I own it for the next 5 to 10 years, maybe like I don't care if the site like nukes itself as long as I get 10 billion out of it,
right?
Which they will most likely, right? And that's all it is. It's just an investment at that point, right? Whereas like an entrepreneur like we are, we're innovating. We're like, okay, well, how can we grow? How can we build a company? How can we make it better? Yeah. Our company is not owned by anybody, right? We have no private investors, no private equity, none of that stuff. Board. I'm the board, you know, I'm like, yo, we're fucking doing this, you know, and I'm paying for it, you know, out of my pocket. There is no debt. There is no borrowing. There is no investors. There is no nothing. It's fucking my money that's paying for everything, you know, and obviously the people I do business with, their money as well. Right. And so it's like, you know, it's a completely different situation, right? And so you have to ask yourself, like, hey, if, you know, OF is being sold, maybe it's a top, you know? It's like maybe the top is in. You know, the guy realized he's a smart guy, you know? You really think he built the goddamn company to be a multi-billion-dollar company. You think he's stupid? You know, of course not, right? So if you're in the position you're in right now and you're telling me, hey, because AI can't do X, Y, and Z, I'm not going to start, you're just the same moron, that's no offense, but you're the same moron that's going to buy Bitcoin at the top or buy Ethereum at the top or buy the shitcoins at the top or buy the stock market at the top or whatever it is, you're going to FOMO in when the smart people like myself are selling you that at the top, right?
And I also think, I think when it comes to real creators versus AI creators, real creators are worried about AI because anybody that has a brain can come in and not only are now they the controller of the content, but their work input is a direct output of how much money they make. So 99% of models are lazy as fuck and they want all of the shit done for them. But if a guy comes in and he's managing an AI girl and he knows whatever I put in, I get out, he's gonna pass all of these girls. I mean, you already have AI models on your platform out earning top earners on OnlyFans. It makes sense why everybody's like, oh, you know, I was one of those guys. I was super biased, like, oh, fuck AI. But then I realized if I don't jump on AI, I'm gonna miss out on a lot of money, because I can't sit here and deal with emotional beings and expect to get rich off of hoping that they stay with me for life versus just coming in, getting behind an AI creator and knowing my direct input is a result of the output that I receive. And that's why everybody's scared of AI, because they either don't know how to leverage it or they have too much ego to want to be like, oh, you know what? If I do this, I'll actually make more money in the long run. And a lot of people want quick cash, which is why they won't do the AI creator, because I personally, from being on both ends of the spectrum, can say that if you're good with real creators, sure, you can be good with AI creators, but it's still difficult.
It's a different skill set.
Yeah, it's a different skill set. But if you can understand from the jump how to manage AI creators before you jump into real creators, you're going to be way more successful and you're going to be way less stressed because you don't have to deal with, oh, my boyfriend wants me.
Situation.
Yeah, it's a way better situation. And that's why I made the switch, because it's like,
I also think that also lends to the idea that like a new generation of people are going to make money from the AI space.
Yeah.
It's like people that are good with technology, you know, they're like, they understand how to actually go viral on social media. You know, like the AI, the real creator space for a long time has been like a hustle, you know, like dudes that like can just hustle the girl, you know what I mean? And like, whether or not I was capable of that, I believe that I could have if I wanted to. It's not really something that I believe is like a legitimate business to pursue in the long run. It's not something that I ever wanted to deal with, you know? And so I always look for ways to just like make money from the space, but not be, you know, dealing with that headache basically, you know? Exactly. I'm like, I'm a businessman. I don't have time to deal with this stuff.
No headaches, yeah.
And so there's no headaches now. You know, we have different headaches, but they're much bigger headaches. We said earlier, more money, more problems. I got some of those headaches. I'll handle those headaches any day of the week and twice on Sunday, you know? But it's like, you know, with the real creator stuff, at the end of the day, it's like, it's crazy the amount of headaches that you have to deal with. And so the people that try to transition from real creators to AI, they assume the skill sets are the same, right?
Not.
But it's not. They also think that they're way bigger, you know, deals than they actually are.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I made this girl 50K, blah, 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 blah. Well, you only netted like a small amount of money from that. You signed the girl. She already had a brand, whatever.
Yeah,
she just didn't know what the fuck she was doing.
Yeah, you just optimized.
That's a very different thing than like starting from zero, right? And so some people might say, well, I don't want to start from zero. I'm just going to go get a real creator. It's not that simple. You know what I mean? Like they're not just hanging on trees, and it's not gonna be like this magic garden of money that you're just gonna find with the real creators. In fact, it's actually way riskier. It's a way bigger headache, and in my opinion, there's way lower upside. Now, when you start from zero, that requires you to actually learn how to brand, how to invest into the marketing time. You know, how to grind it out. Like you got to be at 4,000 followers and grind that shit out and post every day until you get that viral.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
it's also impossible nowadays for people in the real space to sign creators, because all the creators know how this goes. They know what to expect.
And there's no new influx of girls coming in.
And there's no new influx of girls. And yeah, sure, girls are making OFs and there's a ton of new creators onboarding, but half of them won't put in a fraction of the work that's necessary. And half of them won't trust you to want to manage them without expecting 50%.
Another thing is that like a lot of people that have real creators, this will be another rebuttal. They're like, well, I'll just use AI with my real creator. Well, why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. Like if you have an existing business and you're like, I don't want to lose this revenue. I want to like automate it and then kind of, okay, that's fine, you know? But like if your idea is that forever, I'm just going to do like this like hybrid with real girl stuff, you're just building all this infrastructure around something that's going to be obsolete in like 4 months, you know? Or whatever it is. Like, you know, eventually like all this stuff that the real creators can do, the AI will just do. But now you have to just give a cut to these real girls and deal with their headache for no reason. Another would be like, well, I don't want to use an alternative platform because like OF is better. Well, is it? You know, it's like they're about to sell the platform. The whole thing is bricked up. We have a ton of people earning crazy amounts of money. Our conversion rate at scale, I have all the data. I've seen monster amounts of data. It ain't that different from anyone running these real creator brands on OF, right? It's not like it's like this, you know, crazy different. It's basically the same, you know? And we are getting crazy dollar per sub numbers with our creators on our platform. I have huge amounts of proof of that. And so it's like, people think in their mind, they close themselves out to the idea that something else that's different could be better, right? And so as a general thing, when we market, we don't actually market to that audience base, right? We're like, okay, just because you do OF, we don't care, right? Like when you come to us, you start at zero, right? Yeah. You want to start like many people that have like OF agencies, they're like, yeah, we want 4 creative. I'm like, no, you come to us, I don't give a fuck what you've done before. You start at zero. Here's one. make her money. If that goes well,
You get another one.
no problem. Here's another one. Make her money. Goes well. You have to build trust with us because your skill sets have nothing to do with making money through our offer. I don't care what you've done before. You know, we have complete random people that are absolute killers that, in my opinion, know way the fuck more. Random people have never done anything before. 6 months into our business, they know way more than 99.9% of every OF business, not just with respect to AI creators, but all creators. You're telling me that they couldn't go and explain to them exactly how they need to build their brands for their girls? For sure they could, because they know the skills, you know, but they're applying it to a way better domain, right? The AI creators are a way better domain. So that's my opinion on that.
You know, also, you know, there's tons of people making a fuck ton of money off of clipping. But I honestly think that clipping is a scam. Why would you go clip for a brand that's not yours? You don't own that brand. You're gonna make what, 10 to 20K a month off of that brand, and then when Kai Cenat retires and you don't have anything else to clip, what the fuck are you gonna do?
You also can't reuse those pages for anything. You know, clipping is an interesting conversation. I understand why that became like a big thing. You know, I perfectly understand it. But like, if you're a guy and you find this video and you're like watching it and you have a history of clipping, I know that you probably have like a little bit of money coming in and you're probably scared to like change and like, maybe what if I lose my money from this thing? Go get an AI creator. 100%. Start. Because like, just listen to me and start. Your skill sets are actually transferable extremely well to this domain. And I was having this conversation with someone yesterday and I was like, you know, just because you have an idea to make money doesn't mean it's going to make a lot of money, right? Those are two different things, you know? When we think about stuff, like we always think from the basis of like, how can we become billionaires, you know? The only way to become a billionaire is to think and move like one, you know? Okay, well, these ideas, they need to function as if it's going to be $1 billion company. Like, I'm not going to fucking run 4 models myself and make $1 billion. Nobody is, right? And so the people that go down that route and they're like, well, I got my creator space. Okay, well, you're happy making 25K a month. Good for you, you know? So if that's all you want, then fine. But it's like, we want people that are big thinkers. You want to make a lot of money? We will provide you the opportunity to make a fuck ton of money, right? And so if you're clipping for somebody, you got to ask yourself like, hey, are these skills being used to their best order, right? Are these skills actually being put to the best use right now, doing the clipping for this random person's brand? I don't think the answer is yes. You know what I mean? Now, if you took those same skills and you moved them to the AI creator space, now you might take a creator and blow up her Instagram and make 100K a month when that same blowed up Instagram for that person was paying you 5K.
I was just gonna say
those are different things, you know?
It's like, imagine you get paid $100 for 1 million views or 100,000 views. If you get 100,000 views on an AI creator's video, bro,
it's gonna have way better conversion.
Your upside is honestly endless because you could have a lifetime value subscriber come in from those 100,000 views, and now you're looking at easily maybe 10 to 20 extra K in revenue for who knows how long, you know? And that's why I think clipping's a scam, because
additionally, the value of the audience is worth way more in the long run. Like when you grow a Clippers page, it's not worth anything after. You can't really just like because the page was built on that content, right? Whereas like you grow the audience for the model, you know, that page is going to last a long time. They're not going to stop running. They're not going to not pay you, all of these things, right? And so it's just a lot better use of your time as a clipper. One thing that they might say is, well, you know, I want to get paid per view, whatever. That's just a limiting belief of a broke person, basically. You know, like at the end of the day, it's like anyone that's saying that is not making like hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. We've ran into people on different endeavors, you know, that have different various businesses of growing on social media. And like their business is like, I need to figure out how to make 10K a month. I'm like, well, if you're so good at this and you're so good at growing pages, just fucking grow an AI creator and you'll make $100,000 per month. Easily. Well, I don't want to because I'm scared because, you know, what if I don't succeed?
And that's the mindset part of this.
It's a mindset. It's a limiting belief.
Yeah. A lot of people, even in any business, it doesn't matter what business you're in, you have to have the right mindset. If you're in real OFM and you want to make money, you have to have the right mindset. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand is the difference between someone that's successful with the AI creators or not successful is their mindset towards the business. If they believe it can make 10 to 20K a month, it will. Yeah. But if they hit a roadblock and then they get discombobulated because they can't, you know, overcome it, they're fucked. And it's all because of their mindset.
I would also say this is like lends back to the idea of why having a good community, a positive community, the correct coaches, etc., makes a massive difference to your life. At the end of the day, like, why does Chris Bumstead, as you said, have a coach? You know, he has a coach because even someone who's a 6-time Mr. Olympia still needs someone in his corner telling him, hey, you got to push, you got to go, you can be bigger, you can lift heavy or whatever it is, right? You got to eat cleaner, you got to diet harder, you got to train harder, you got to do more cardio.
Yep.
The same thing is true for you, someone who wants to make money online. Like you need to have someone like myself in your corner
saying, hey,
I got a big mindset. I think big. I mean, I have a lot of success, a huge history of success of actually making people successful and making a lot of money, right? I've brought people from nothing to making $100,000 per month. Many, many examples of those people. How many people in the world have done that? It's a very rare skill set, in my opinion. Some people can turn themselves into successful, like a successful person, right? But it's very rare to have someone that can actually help others. And I have, for whatever reason, the ability to legitimately help others. I think it's because I care. I think it's because of the success I've had dealing with other mentors. Like they've helped me, right? I have my guys too, right? Even myself being the head person of this business, whatever, I still have guys that I go to that are smarter than me, that are older than me, that are wiser than me, that keep me in check, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's got somebody. You know what I mean? Even the most successful people do, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're someone that's early on in the process, you're 18 to 21 trying to figure out how to make money, or you're making a little bit of money hustling online, you got to be around the right people, right? Like you need to put yourself in a domain that can actually lead you to becoming a 100K a month person, right? And then you have to ask yourself honestly, okay, like, you know, maybe you care about the materialism stuff, or maybe you care about these things that everybody wants. You want a Rolex, whatever it is, that's fine. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. But you got to ask yourself, am I actually putting in the work to become that guy? In a year from now, am I going to be improved? Have I been improving over the last 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years, whatever it is? You have to ask yourself that question honestly. And for the reality is, for most people, the answer is no. You know, the answer is absolutely not. I ask myself that all the time. The next target for me, and I don't really believe in like goals and numbers, but like, let's say like a hypothetical target is like, I want to make $1 million a month net, not gross.
Not gross.
We already passed that a long time ago, but like $1 million a month net. Okay, well, I have to ask myself, like, am I providing the value
that's necessary
to become $1 million a month person, right? Am I acting every day like $1 million a month person? Am I efficient enough, right? Where are the holes in my life, in my business, etc., right? What am I doing wrong? Am I training hard enough at the gym, right? Am I in good shape? Am I mentally all there every single day, right? Am I sleeping well enough, right? I try to upgrade all these parts of my life, and I constantly ask myself, like, am I improving quarter by quarter? I can look back in the last quarter and just be like, I was being a dumbass when I was doing these things, right? I can look back last year when I would wake up every day and have a monster first thing in the morning, be like, what the fuck was I doing? I had the worst morning routine of all time. And I was trying to build and become a person that was worthy of making $1 million a month. Right. And that's which is completely ridiculous. You know, at the end of the day, it's completely ridiculous. So most people that are making like 4K, 5K, 3K, whatever it is, they just don't know what they don't know, right? They've never been questioned. Hey, am I actually doing the right things? Am I thinking about social media the right way? Am I applying myself the right way? And that's fundamentally what our education does, right? Sure, we give you the step-by-step, all of these things, but we also put you in the right mindset, right? It's not just about, hey, step one, do this. It's about holistically actually understanding how social media works, how building a business that makes $100,000 or $150,000 a month for you in your pocket actually really fucking works. And the reality is that most people selling a course online have never done that in their whole life sustainably, right? Maybe they did it for like a month, but that's completely different than being in a space for years, making money for years, which is what I've done. You know what I mean? My mentors have been doing it for like 15 years. You know what I mean? And so it's like we have a massive amount of experience. So if you're a young guy, you gotta be like, I gotta listen to the right person. I believe that I'm that right person, you know? And I'm not telling you to come pay me something to allow me to be that person in your life.
Not at all.
Which is a massive difference than everybody else, right? Everybody else is doing all this craziness, trying to push themselves down your throat to tell you that they're the right person. And I never did that once, but yet somehow all these people keep coming to me, and somehow I have a big community, and somehow I have a growing business that continues to pass everybody else. How is that possible? You know?
And I think that's why I align so much with what you're doing. Whenever I first met you, was my whole thing is I've always been able to help other people be successful. Whether it was the 2 girlfriends that I had that are fucking loaded off of OF now, or it's the homie that came to me and was like, yo, I want to start an OF. And now he's up, you know, multiple 7 figures because he did the right thing and he applied everything that I gave him, right? And he went off and optimized as well. And that's the goal here, is how can we help more people make more money?
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, whenever you provide, you will receive. And the more you provide, the more you receive at the end of the day. The only difference is a lot of people don't have the right mindset. It doesn't matter what it is. I think the core factor of this in life and business and money, you have to have a bulletproof mindset. It's like the iron mind or whatever, you know. You have to have the right mindset.
There's also no pretending, you know. There's not like it's not like my community is like, well, I just pretend to be the guy that makes money but don't actually make money, just so like people have this like general like, yeah, we're
Conception
like,
of
but
you.
then like nobody actually is making money. It's like, if that was the case, my whole business would fail.
It'd be fucked.
There would be no business now, right? The reason that we have a humongous community growing on Telegram, technically two now, which is like roughly like 13,500 people between the two communities.
Yeah.
The one that is coming from your social and obviously the main one that I run and own. The reason that that's the case is because when people come, they stay.
And there's so much value that they don't want to leave.
When people come, they stay. They stick around,
Yeah.
you know? And so we're building this high quality brand. Why do people keep telling others? Why is my referral system so successful? Well, A, the incentive structure is aligned, right? It's a good incentive structure for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But B, people actually genuinely want to fucking tell their friends because it's real, right? If I sold a $500 course and I was like, hey, I'll give you 8% of the $500 course or 5% or whatever, and it's like, people just went and told their friend, yeah, bro, buy this $500 course. You think their friends are going to buy it?
Yeah, come on. They're gonna look at them sideways.
There's no fucking chance, right? And so we're building something that people want to be a part of. Like the amount of money and time that has been spent on marketing this offer this past year is way less than people think.
Oh, 100%.
But somehow it keeps growing. We keep selling out. You know, how is that possible, right? How is that possible? You know, it's possible because of what we've built is fostering something that is extremely powerful. We have a positive community. We don't have people fighting, right?
No.
We don't have wasted time. Right? We have people that are coming in that are seeing results, real results every day from the actions they're taking that we're teaching them. And it's making a massive difference, you know? Whereas compared to other communities, they die out, right? And they post fake results. Nobody's actually making money in there because the person running the community doesn't give a fuck if the people in there are actually making money.
No.
So what happens, right? It's just a bunch of nonsense and people joining like, hey, I'm not getting anything. And the person that's running the community, they're not in the community every day like I am, providing value or having support people in there, paying a ton of money to have tons of people always in there helping everyone make
people
money.
out, yeah.
What are they doing? They're out pushing their course so more people
They're
can come in.
collecting. Yeah, they're just
They're collecting.
And
That's
I've,
the difference.
I've been that person, you know, and it's what's crazy is now I see these guys come into the free offer and they make their first $10, they make their first $100, and they get addicted.
Exactly.
It's an addiction, and they're
That
like,
could be their first ever money ever made in the history of online.
they're like, holy shit, this actually works. And that's the hardest part about online business and making internet money. The hardest part about internet money is finding an actual business model that works without you having to spend a ton of money to get it to work. That's the hardest fucking part. But once you get that first subscriber in, it's the best feeling in the world, because myself coming from the real creator side to the AI creator side, once I made my first $3,000 with my AI creator, I was like, holy shit, this is fucking dope, because it's like, I had to learn a new skill. Even though I could take some of the skills from this side and apply it here, it was much more difficult to make $3K with an AI creator than it was to make maybe $10K with a real creator that was already established, because I had to do it from the ground up and I had to learn a set of new skills. But once I learned that new set of skills and I got addicted to the money, it's like, this is insane. Like now I want to be all in on this, and I can just dump in my profits, my money that I'm making back into it and make more money. And I didn't have to pay anything to start. That's the craziest part about it. Everybody wants to go do e-com. Everybody wants to go do clipping, but it's like, with e-com, you got to spend money. You got to buy product. You got to do advertisement. You can't.
Also, people who are in like the I want to get rich quick thing, like they're just never gonna make any money. Like it's just there's no chance. You know, it's
chance.
like we don't lie to people. Like when we're telling people to make money, it's like, yeah, like you have to watch the education. You need to grind it out.
That's
This
70,
isn't
80
like
hours long.
you could start for free, but it's like you need to go and watch the education.
And
like
you still have to do the work.
we have all the data literally saying like if people watch the education, they become successful. If people don't, they don't. They don't become successful. Like I literally know exactly how much education everybody's watching. I see all the numbers.
Right.
The people that flame out, they just like try for 5. They're like, I can't do this, and they give up. They think, okay, go ahead. You know, like they're not going to be successful doing anything else. You really think they will? It's like you really think they're going to go magically put all their effort? They're not. You know, it's like so the people that want it are going to make money, right? And so other people, they give you these like get rich quick schemes, whatever. And there's a lot of people that want that. They're like, oh, I want to make money from AI creators, but I don't want to do any work. It's like that person has never made any money from anything in their entire life. Or if they have money, they got super lucky. But if you're new, you for sure have never made any money from the internet, because you would know how difficult it is to actually start and run a business. It's fucking hard. You have to work every day. There's crazy headaches that you have to deal with all the time. You have to put out fires all the time. That's the reality of running a business, right? Yeah. And we expose people to those realities and we try to help them through it. But at the end of the day, there's going to be adversity. You know, that's part of it. That's part of life. Yeah. That's part of running the business. That's part of social media. You can't have upside without downside, right? You can't have Bitcoin go from 15K to 127K without it pulling back.
Yeah,
it pulled back many times along the way, and now we're in a bear market, and people are crying about it.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So a 1 year bear market where it goes down 60%, in order to have the momentum to go to the next all-time high, which could be 200 or 300,000, whatever it is, how is that such a bad thing? The problem is that you weren't positioned correctly with the right mindset or with the right position with your portfolio or whatever to take advantage. The same thing is true from the creators, right? You can't make 100K a month without having a few pages get banned.
Yeah, it's true.
Without having some problems happen, whatever it is, right? Without going through the adversity of like, why the fuck is my content not going viral, and eventually learning how to run a viral brand, right?
And not a lot of people know how to deal with adversity.
No, for sure they don't.
They don't know how to handle adversity.
So we're trying to help you through that and provide you the mindset and the education so you feel confident in these situations, right? Everything is about how you practice, how you prepare, right? Why is Scotty Scheffler confident to stand over the golf ball on the 18th tee at the Masters at Augusta, right? To hit that drive. It's a tight fucking fairway. I watch it. It's tight. I'm like, shit, I'd be scared. I don't play for anything, you know? It's because he's done it a million times. He knows when he makes that swing, it's going where he wants it to go most of the time, right? So he is confident in himself because of his preparation.
Because he's been through so much adversity already.
We're giving people that confidence, right? I know what to do. We give them a brand new creator. Shit, I'm ready. Give it to me, you know? Within a week, they're making money from it now, right? Because in the first 4 months, they grinded through all the adversity to figure out how to get that first one to 5,000 or 10,000 per month. That now it's like rinse, repeat. They just know exactly what's going on, right? That's what we're preparing people for. That's the purpose of the education. It's not so you can come and go, right? It's not so you can watch something and I can make my $500 off you. That's not the point. We want to work with you for the next 10 years. That's the goal, right? That's always been the goal since day one. And I keep telling people that we are teaching you stuff so we can be in business together, providing you value for 10 fucking years so you can change your life. Not for a month. I don't give a shit about making money for a month, right? Nothing we do is for short-term outcomes.
It's all long-term.
It's all long-term thinking. That's the number one thing that you have to have. You have to think big. You have to think long, right? That's the number one most important thing. You can't be thinking, okay, well, how do I get my next meal, right? Because if you're in that position, you're already fucked, you know? You're already fucked and you're already thinking like a broke person, right? That can't be your position. Now, if you're struggling like that, we can help you out of that struggle by providing you value, but you need to struggle through it. I've been broke, you know what I mean? Many times, you know, in my life, right? Done absolutely ridiculously stupid things, right? I'm sure you have as well.
Yeah.
Okay, most people have, right? Now I learn from those mistakes, and thank God that I'm not. Now I have a business that's making money. I have money saved up, whatever. But that's also why I'm smart with my money now, right? And so it's like you can't victimize yourself. No one's gonna give you a handout.
No.
But we're giving you that opportunity, man. I would kill for this opportunity 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
I wish 100%. I wish I was focusing on stuff like this 4 or 5 years ago instead of doing the stupid shit that I was doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
And so it's like, if you're in that position, you're watching this, it's like now is the time you actually can go and change your life. You got to grind through it, right? It's like, it's not easy.
It's with anything.
We're both pretty young guys. You're 25, right?
Yeah, I'll be 25 in July.
25 in July. I just turned 28, so like similar age range.
Yeah.
What did it look like, you know, kind of coming out of high school? What was your process? Did you go to university? Did you go to college? Like, what was your life like back then as you kind of grew into the person that you are now?
So going through high school, I went to a city school that I had to pay like tuition for and whatnot. But when it came time to like graduate and I needed to figure out what I wanted to do, I had a couple options. My dad was like, yo, like you're either going to pay rent, you're going to get a job, or you're going to fucking go to college, or you're going to have to move out of here. And I had worked a job when I was like 16 for this guy named Frank doing demolition. And he'd always come in and he'd be like, yo, you have your fucking heads up your asses. Like figure it out, whatever. And like one day I told my buddy, I'm like, yo, if he comes in here, he does this shit again, like I'm out. And next day, sure enough, he did the same shit. And from that day moving forward, I was like, yeah, I'm for sure never working for anybody ever again. So I already knew when my dad was like, yo, you got to figure one of these out. Job was out of the picture. I had already kind of figured out how to make a little bit of money off of social media. I was like a little TikTok influencer. I had done gaming videos when I was 14. Like what changed my perspective entirely, like if we're going to go way back, I saw the FaZe Clan kids move into a house in New York. I'm like, these guys are playing they're playing my favorite video game.
Those were like OG days of the FaZe when it was actually in its heyday before it nuked itself.
Yeah, exactly. RIP FaZe Clan. But like, when I saw them, I'm like, yo, like these kids are 16, 17, 18 years old, living in a house together, and they fucking play video games. I'm like, that fucked my mind for the better, because I'm like, if these guys can make money playing video games, bro, anything is possible at this point. Anything. So that fucked my mind entirely, so I started trying to figure out how to make money off of video games. And then it transitioned to doing like, you know, TikTok or influencer dances and shit like that. I grew a page to like 700K off of TikTok dances and networking with a bunch of huge creators back in the day, linking up with like Addison Rae and all these cool people. And then once I graduated, I finished high school and I knew I didn't want a job. I went to the technical school in my hometown and I was like, let me see what there is. And the only thing I was potentially interested in was like being a mechanic. Why the fuck do I want to work on cars for the rest of my life? Like, no, I'm not going to go in debt to then have to work a job that I'm not going to make a lot of money and I'm definitely not going to be happy at. So then I fucking threw that in the trash. And then I went to the recruiter. My family has like a huge, you know, Army history, Air Force history, whatever. I'll be in the Navy. I went and took my ASVAB. Nah, fuck that. I'm not going to do that. And then I had my buddy call me. He's like, yo, there's a TikTok house that you can move into, but you need to be here in a week. So I had $2,000 to my name, packed everything up in a U-Haul, drove across the country. Rent to move into that place was $2,000. And I told my dad, I'm like, yo, I'm out of here. And he didn't believe me until I packed up the U-Haul and then I left. TikTok house, 2020, COVID broke out. And then I was like, we're fucked. You know, I was like, I don't want to be in LA anymore. So I was like living month to month. I had a Fashion Nova deal from TikTok videos that I was doing, paying literally just my rent. And then once we realized LA wasn't the move, I was like, I can't go back to my hometown. So then went back to the hometown, didn't tell anybody. And then I was like, Miami, what's the next place that's close to my hometown, but just like LA? I was like, Miami. So then I spent all my time in Miami, and then I eventually came across OF. I made a fuck ton of money myself as a creator, but before I made a fuck ton of money myself, I had met a girl, and that's kind of how I got into it. Was the porn star. Is like, she was like, hey, why don't you, you know, if you're gonna be helping me manage my page, like, why don't you do content with me? You know, we can make more money, whatever. I was like, cool, I'm all about money. I had nothing at the time, so I'm like, whatever's gonna make money, I'm willing to do it. I don't care what it takes. And I have it tatted on my hand. It says Hellbent. It's like the ability to achieve anything at all costs. Like, I don't give a fuck what it takes. I'm gonna make it happen. So that's how I got into that. And then, you know, made a good bit of money with her. And then I never looked back. After that, I've just been in the adult industry. And, you know, I realized, you know, at a young age, like, if these guys are making money off of video games, anything's possible. And ever since then, I've never had to ask my family for money. I've been able to take care of my mom, my sister, buy her cars, you know, all kinds of good stuff. And now I'm here, you know, it's just been a great journey.
The video games point is interesting. I mean, I think if you had prior success, like playing video games or whatever, you could probably make a lot of money with the AI creators if you applied the same ability to sit on your computer and like build and grind, and like you do that to like the content side. I think that they have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is like some people that play video games, they prefer to live in a fake world rather than a real one, you know? And like for me, I definitely grew up with the video games as well. I mean, I had a crazy journey in life. A lot of wild things happened. Basically when I was younger and in high school, you know, I basically like failed all my classes the first couple of years, grade 9 and 10 in high school in Toronto in Canada. And I was playing a lot of video games back then. I was also pretty fucked up, you know, divorce, house, you know, like those kind of things, like dealing with ADHD where I didn't know how to actually deal with it properly. And kind of going through the ringer, like the system, especially when you're at that young age, it wants you to kind of fit into a box, you know? Yeah. And like, I'm definitely not the guy to be in that box. You know what I mean? Like I was always completely outside of it. And whenever I started just trusting myself and living outside of it, that's when my life actually started improving. And I still am outside of it, and people probably think I'm nuts for it. But now it's kind of gone back the other way where people are like, hey, Steven was right about a lot of the things he said and decided to do. But you know, people will only ever believe you when you actually make it happen. So you have to believe in yourself. But basically when grade 11 and 12 came, I decided that, you know, it was probably the right thing to do to like focus on actually getting grades. So I gave up video games, and I was doing YouTube back then. I tried to do the whole YouTube. I went from doing like montages and like trick shotting when FaZe was really big back when I was in grade 8, grade 9, to then doing like cut comms and commentaries and pub stomping stuff back in like grade 10. That's around Black Ops 2 days, at least for me.
That's so crazy. We did the same thing, dude.
And I grew a channel to like a few thousand subs. I was like one of the more prolific like Call of Duty players. This was before it became like a big esport. Like this was like way before then. Like it was very much smaller. It became way bigger. I wish I stuck with it just because I feel like I would have grown a big audience, and right. I kind of gave up like at basically the worst time too. But I eventually started doing well in school. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and so I decided to go to business school, which was like a top school at University of Toronto called like Robin Commerce, whatever. And I lasted about like a month, you know, and basically there are several reasons that happened. Number one, I started playing poker, And it started with like buddies at just like home games. And then I immediately was like kind of okay at it. But mostly just excited about the idea of playing a game for money.
Yeah.
I used to play video games and got nothing out of it. And now I'm like, I could play a new game that gave me a shit ton of dopamine rushes because it was exciting and I could win money at it by taking it off people that I was arguably smarter than. I was like, wow, this is a crazy situation. And then I started watching all the poker stuff online and the online poker stuff. And like, this was kind of at like the end of the heydays of online poker. This was obviously post Black Friday. If you know online poker, you know about Black Friday, but it doesn't really matter. And so there was still opportunity back then, but the game was definitely changing. It was getting more complicated, but there were still all these like crazy success stories. And I was like, wow, I could travel and play cards. So I put myself in that world and I was playing online while still going to university, and I started making some money, and I was like, there's just no way that I'm going to sit around in these classes and study these awful, boring books when this exciting, other opportunity exists, right? And so I stopped going to class and I would just like pretend to go to school, but I would just go to the library and I would play online poker from the library. And one time I won a tournament. I won like a $10,000 like win tournament, whatever. I cashed like the first prize was like 10K, and I like freaked out in the library. I was like, oh, let's go, And then I basically got kicked out of the library because everybody was like quiet studying. It's like 8:30 at night. I'm supposed to be in anthropology 101 whatever. It was a Thursday night class. It started at like 6:30 or something. It was like a 2-3 hour lecture. I never went once. I never went once, but my parents thought I was going. They thought I was
gambling.
So I would pretend commute. So I would like walk to the subway, fully intending to like basically subway downtown. So they thought I was downtown, but I would just go to the library and play online poker every single time. I never went to class. I passed the first midterms, whatever, of exams somehow. Like I just like last minute studied everything. But then I realized I'm like, okay, like this is not high school. Like I can't last minute study stuff. It's actually hard. And I basically just told my parents, like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to drop out and become a professional poker player and travel and move to LA to play poker. Like that's a big poker scene and do all this stuff. They freaked out, obviously. My mom way more than my dad. Not that he was okay with it, but he saw that I was actually starting to like potentially make money from it. I would play these like underground games and stuff, and I would come home. I was like 18, 19. I'd come home with like $3,000, And he's like, well, where did you get $3,000 from? And I'm like, from playing poker. He's like, okay, but where did you get $3,000 from? Like he didn't believe me. I was like, from playing poker, And so, long story short, is that life lasted for about 4.5 years for me. And, it wasn't all sunshines and rainbows. I got jobs for long periods of it where I tried to like make money, and I worked like these like awful 9-to-5 jobs overnight. I did overnight jobs to try to make money, had wild like sleeping hours. I didn't take care of my health. I was way fatter back then, and it just was really bad. I definitely also had like a gambling addiction. So like while I was playing poker, I also was like gambling heavy at the same time,
Yeah.
And that's part of that lifestyle. A lot of people kind of get caught into that. But for me, I think it was like a dopamine rush thing,
Right.
Like when you got ADHD, you got to control, your body's exposure to that stuff. And it's like, I was really bad at it back then. I'm still not the best now, but I was way worse then. And so I think that I probably made a little bit of money net playing poker,
Right.
but I definitely lost a lot
fuck
gambling,
ton of money.
And so what kept happening to me was like I would make some money, I would go broke. I would make some money, I would go broke. I would make some money, I would go broke, And I was never able to discipline myself or commit to the time to study and to actually build up my bankroll. And eventually I realized around the same time when Rona happened that this was just like not sustainable anymore. Now, I also worked in the poker space. I managed games, I ran games, I did all that stuff back then. But I realized that it wasn't for me. And so when the Rona stuff happened, I was like, I can't stay in Canada. So I decided to leave and I moved to Mexico, right? And that's when I started getting into the crypto world. And this was during that bull market that ended roughly, the first top was May 2021 and the second was in November of 2021. But I kind of FOMO'd in like everything that I had in like roughly like the end of 2020, early 2021, and caught the tailwind of that bull market. And like my money went from like here to like basically like a 2.5x. And I was like riding high. I was like, yeah, And then May 2021 happened. I went like from 2.5x up to like directly back to even. And it scared the shit out of me, Because that was like a good amount of money. And I was like, okay, I'm not doing poker anymore. I clearly don't know what the fuck I'm doing because I just lost a crazy amount of money in one day. And like I knew people that went completely busto that day, like hundreds of thousands of dollars of money to zero in one day. Crazy liquidations.
Yeah.
I made good decisions from that period of time onwards by choosing the right people to listen to for financial advice, by definitely going to Mexico and living my life when the Rona stuff was happening. Like I was living my life, people were locked down in Canada. I don't want to comment too much on that, but I was living my life, like I was going out, I was going to the gym, I got in shape, I started bodybuilding back then. I wish I was, I have more time to do it now, but I was really locked in back then. I lost like 100 pounds and I still kept doing the crypto stuff. I made some money, but eventually I realized crypto was also maybe not the best thing for me to dedicate 100% of my time to. I have done well in my life from crypto and I continue to invest in that market, but there's a big difference between like investing and
almost like gambling,
trading and all. So that's kind of what I transitioned to, was like one form of gambling to like another almost,
Yeah.
And I was like, this is also not like
It's
a
like a more
sustainable thing.
sophisticated version.
I'm like, by the way, that was a very common thing for poker players to move to the crypto world back then.
Oh, really?
But for sure, and still is. But so I realized, I'm like, okay, this is clearly like not the thing I need to do. And then I got depressed when I was living in Mexico, which you would think, why were you depressed? I had a hot girlfriend at the time and like a Latina girl, and we were having fun and like beach and this and that and all these things, but I wasn't like doing anything with my life, And that's a very common thing in Latin America. Maybe not the depression part, but like the like basically making like 5 or 10K a month and just like coasting.
Yeah.
And that was not for me, And so I was like, I basically suck. Like I looked into mentorship, and they basically said, older guys are like, you need to have like a business or like something you're pursuing. Like men need to be building, And I wasn't doing any of that. I was just kind of coasting. And so I decided to basically try to become like a fitness coach. And I realized very early on that there's just not a lot of money in that for the most part. Maybe some people can do okay, but generally like the cap is very low. And I didn't want to be that guy that was just constantly posting on social media that like, I lost 100 pounds. Let me like coach you for $400. Like I just didn't want to be that guy, you know? And I also kind of figured out the whole space within like a few weeks. I was like, this can't be it. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't. And that's when the OF stuff kind of came to be. And I just YOLO'd into it. And I was so excited by it. I was like, wow, I'm like, this is such an amazing opportunity. I can't believe more people aren't doing it. I still feel that way to this day, that more people aren't doing the AI stuff.
Yeah.
And I started that, and then that quickly led to me making money. Like quickly, I started figuring out, and like money started being made.
It happens so quick in the industry.
I met the business people I do business with now, and they found me through the community I built back then. And essentially, they were like, "We want to fly you to Vegas," and I was like, "You want to fly me to Vegas?" I'm like, "Okay," I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I'll come to Vegas." And so I flew there like a few days after we met, and it was one long dinner, like a 6-7 hour serious dinner. There wasn't girls, there wasn't popping bottles, there wasn't club, there wasn't anything. It was just like, let's just sit and talk business. And like, they explained to me their vision, and I was like, you know what? I'm like, I have a good feeling about this. I believe that these guys are the smartest people that I have ever met, and I still feel that way. And I was like, this is the right decision. And I just YOLO moved to Vegas.
Yeah.
Literally like 2 weeks later, like I just like, fuck it. I packed all my shit from Mexico, I moved, And so committed to that. I shut down the OF side that I was working on and started focusing on working with them. And it's been over 3 years, and that's still the thing, And obviously the business has evolved since then. And I explained earlier on the license creator stuff, then moving to the AI side, all of these different things. I would say the main thing that separates me from others is my willingness to live different lives, Like I had crypto Steven, I had poker Steven, I had bodybuilder Steven, I had license creator Steven, I had gamer Steven. Like I had back, before that I was like, playing hockey and baseball and all, like I was like jock bro Steven. Like I had all these different versions of myself. I had golfer phase, and now I'm even back into golf. I had all these different versions of myself, and through each of those, I learned and got better and improved over and over and over again. And I learned from who I used to be. And so I think a lot of people, they never change, right?
No, they'll stay the same.
The reason they don't change is because they don't force change on yourself. Change is a very hard thing to do. It requires extreme effort. It requires risk. It requires putting yourself in a very uncomfortable situation. And that's the fundamental reason why people never change, right? They're afraid to do any of those things. Now, for me, I always just YOLO'd into stuff without a second thought. I was like, let's just fucking do this and see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's what's led me to all these amazing situations. And every single one of those times when I did something and I had a belief in myself, even if it didn't work out, it was number one, worth going into because I learned from the failures. But number two, everyone told me that it was going to fail, but I didn't care anyways, right?
Yeah.
Including what I'm doing now. And it's not a failure. It's a fucking success, right? Including what I'm doing now, and especially what I'm doing now. People thought I was crazy. They thought I was crazy for going to Mexico during Rona. They thought I was going to die. That's what I was told. You're going to die, You're going to go there. A Latina's going to finesse you. You're going to get your head chopped off. You're going to get kidnapped. You're going to go broke. You're going to get sick and die. I heard everything. I said, yeah. Here's my suitcase and my ticket, bye-bye, you know? Yeah. I don't care, I'm going because I think it's the right thing to do. And it fucking was. And when I went to Vegas, I was told the same thing. You're gonna get scammed. You're gonna become a gambling addict. And that was a common one. People told me that all the time. Because at the time I stopped gambling and I told people I moved to Vegas, they're like, oh, Steven's gambling again. Oh, yeah. I'm like, I'm not, you know? I barely gambled at all when I was there. I literally did nothing, you know? Yeah. I still don't, you know? I'm over that period of my life. Full-blown gambling addiction. Literally every day, slots, everything, and I'm over it. I beat it, you know? And it's like, I moved to the fucking worst place in the world for that, and it's still nothing. So people said, you're gonna be a gambling addict, you know? They're like, well, you know, the business isn't gonna work out. What are you doing? Creator space, blah, blah, blah. People told me that the platform we were building was gonna be nothing, you know? Oh, you're crazy for not working on OF and doing this, and blah, all these different things, right? I heard it all, you know? Didn't care, you know? I locked in.
And
right?
that's what it takes, you know? It's like, even when I was doing my gaming channel, I would, you know, be in my room nonstop, and this is when I started to realize the effect of people not being able to go after what they want is, you know, long before the gaming, you know, I was like 12 or 13, my dad realized I could push a mower, so he had me starting to cut my grass. And then he wouldn't buy me shit. He wouldn't buy me a PlayStation or Xbox, so I'd literally go to my neighbors and I'd be like, how much do you pay to get your grass cut right now? They'd be like, $50. I'll do it for 25 right now. And then I'd push my fucking mower over there. I'd go cut it. I'd save like $500,000 over the summer, you know, 13, 14 years old, right? And it's like, for me, it was always the mindset of like, you know, my family can't buy it for me, so I have to buy it for myself, or I have to find a way to do it. And then when it went to the gaming, because it wasn't like brick and mortar, my dad was like, yo, what the fuck are you doing spending all this time on the game? Like, there was one day I remember I broke down crying in the backyard. We were like going back and forth. He's like, you're wasting your time on this shit. It's not gonna fucking work. It didn't work, but it led me to other businesses that eventually worked. And in the midst of the gaming process, even my friends in my neighborhood, I grew up going outside all the time, hanging out with them. They stopped hanging out with me. They stopped inviting me places. They even started calling me names when they would see me out in public. And it's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm happy with this. I isolated myself in a room. I figured out one way or the other, either to make money with video games, or it led me into the social media stuff, which was what I really got like fucking bullied for in high school. Is like, oh, he's the TikTok kid. Oh my God, it's the Tyler Pauly, whatever. And it's like, now, same people calling me that shit, they're like, yo, like, damn, I'm surprised. Like, you really made something for yourself. Like, you're really out here living the life. And it's like, a lot of people can't handle that pressure. A lot of people can't handle hearing those kind of things from the people that they grow up with to keep going for what they want to go for, you know?
I had the same experience. I mean, I wasn't like the coolest kid in high school. I had a big mouth back then. And, oh man, I used to say crazy shit, you know?
Really?
And, oh, big time. Yeah, I didn't care. And I was a lot more like abrasive with people. Like, I used to kind of like force myself and my intelligence on others and say nasty things. And these days I'm a lot quieter and much more respectful and nicer. I think I just grew up, to be honest, you know? And like, I think when I go back to Toronto, I go back like once a year, and I just always end up seeing people that like, and they're just like, what are you up to? I'm like, oh, I'm doing these things. And like, I think they just like don't believe it.
They don't
like,
get it.
Or number two, like I look completely different because like I changed. I, you know, basically just grew up, not like a fat kid anymore.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just got my life together. And so they're kind of still like stuck. And I remember when I was losing weight, I would like post a lot of updates about it. Now I don't really post anymore. Because I realized that like what used to be support like kind of turned to envy. Because like when you level up enough, people like want to see you succeed, but not more than them. To a certain point. But not more than them. So it's like, as I was losing weight, I was still like a little like ugly fat kid, and people would like support me. But then eventually it kind of transitioned the other way, and it was like, you know, like I'm not in great shape or anything by any means, but like previously I was in a lot better shape. And, you know, it's like basically like, well, now Steven is not an ugly, broke fat kid anymore. He's like kind of coming the other side. Oh, wait, Steven is maybe doing pretty well now. He just bought a nice car and he's doing, and it's like, they kind of turn to like envy. You don't really, so like the positivity that I used to feel from it, it kind of got exhausted. And I realized I'm like, you know what, like I'm actually putting all this stuff out into the world, and I'm only kind of getting maybe negative thoughts and negative feelings back towards it. I'm like, I'm just going to stop, you know? And so that's part of the reason I don't really post that much on social media. And when I do, like, I kind of just like post the things that I know I need to for the business, and I don't really care what third parties think about it. Because they just fundamentally don't matter, you know? It's like, that's another thing. Like you should obviously like listen to your parents for the most part, but like maybe sometimes like you have to think for yourself, you know? Because like at the end of the day, like what worked for them 30 years ago is maybe not, it's probably not the same thing that's going to work today. And I've always kind of had that belief. I'm like, I got to do the thing that I think is right. And obviously I have mentors and people who are older that I value their opinion, and I ask them for their advice. But at the end of the day, like I kind of got to think for myself and ask like, what's the best thing for me? what's the right thing for me to do? Where should I live? Like, where's the business that, you know, what should I start? And all of these types of things. And, you know, that's obviously changed over the course of many years. You know, so it is what it is. Like, people are going to be who they're going to be, you know?
Yeah. And you also learn not to give a fuck so much because, you know, I realized, you know, like you said, kind of like with the posting and realizing it went from support to hate or maybe to negativity. What I realized throughout high school as I was growing on TikTok was a lot of people, it was like, oh shit, that's Tyler. Like, he's killing it on TikTok. But then it got to a certain point where it's like, oh, haha, that's Tyler, you know? And it was like, almost like, it went from support to like fake love, like fake support, you know? And it was like in a condescending way, but they almost still wanted to like be attached to it. But
Yeah.
they didn't want you to go so far.
I think that you're onto something, and probably the best advice that I could give someone is don't tell anyone what you're doing until it's done, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we're kind of in a position where we kind of have to, you know?
Yeah.
But I remember when I first started working with the current people I do business with, we had like NDAs in place, and people were asking me so much about what I was doing, and I told nobody, you know?
Nobody, yeah.
And because they told me, like, just keep it quiet, like, nobody needs to know what we're doing, because, you know, loose lips sink ships. Now things have changed. We're in a position now where we kind of want to tell everybody what we're doing,
yeah.
because it's done, right? Like, we built all these things, and now it's time to market and to scale the business. But as we were growing it, we weren't publicly advertising that we were building all this stuff. Like, we weren't building hype. We still are not, you know, like, for the most part, a lot of things are kept quiet. The reason they're kept quiet is because we don't need to tell everybody what we're doing. Only the people that need to know, and that's it, right? And it's like, it's a much better way to operate. And like, I know a lot of people, they kind of post about stuff before it's done, you know? Like, I want to be like a billionaire. Like, I believe that it can happen, you know? But I don't post every day on my Instagram being like, made 50K today, you know? It's like, I'm fucking like on my way, you know? It's like, I don't do that. Like, I don't fucking, now I might post like once a quarter, I'll post an update like, hey, last
Quarterly
quarter,
update.
we did over $4 million in revenue. We averaged over $1 million per month. Like, this is a massive growth. You know, my business is now at 4,000 members. Like, I'll post those updates because people from the business, many of them now follow me on social media, on Instagram and whatever.
It's cool for them to see.
It's cool for them to see. It makes them more motivated. It's good for the brand. It's also good for me to track. So like, now I can go back in the future and like have all these different posts lined up and say, hey, like, look at this. 2 years ago, we had like 1,000 people. And then now we have, you know, 15,000 or 20,000 people.
Yeah.
We 20x our members in 2 years, right? Or whatever it ends up being, right? And so that's what I'll do. Like, I'll post those updates. And even then, I've posted less of those updates now, just because, again, like, prying eyes and like negative, like, you know,
Evil eye.
it's cool for a while. And then it's like, next thing you know, you're doing like $2 million months. And then somebody's like, what the fuck? Like, this kid's making way more money than me. Fuck him, basically. And then like, that's when negativity can come, right? So we're almost at a point where it's like, it's across the other side now, where it's like, we're making too much to show anybody now. You know, it's like, I don't even want to show. And
I don't even want people to know.
I keep it to myself for the most part. And like, you know, the numbers are pretty crazy these days, and that's cool and everything. But it's not like I'm out like showing things off, whatever. Like, nobody knows. Like, if anybody like saw me on the street or whatever, they'll have no fucking idea. I'm literally like the most regular person ever. And like, that's how I want it to be. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to be better than other people. You know what I mean? Like, another thing is like, for the community and like what we're actually trying to build, I think it's important that I always keep a level head. You know, I think a lot of people, they get a big head when they start growing a community. I get a lot of praise, you know, thanks Steven for the help. Thanks this,
Shout
thanks
out,
that.
Steven.
I changed my life, whatever it is. But like, almost it makes me feel the opposite when I hear that. Like, instead of feeling like satisfied, I feel like I have to work harder. You know, like, I have this like I train myself to like not feel positivity.
To never
from
feel
it.
satisfied.
Now, that might be a negative. You know what I mean? Like, that might not be the healthiest thing. But for me, that's what works, you know? And so I don't get this big ego. And I've met a lot of people that have grown communities that are nowhere near as successful as what I've built over the course of a year. And they have a humongous fucking ego. They think they're the hot shit because every fucking person that's broke is looking up to them. Who cares? You know, it doesn't matter. I'm just like all of those people. I'm trying to grow a business. I'm trying to make more money, and I'm trying to help them. So why am I above them? You know what I mean? I'm not above them. Like, I need to be in the trenches with them, helping and providing them support, you know? And so like some things have changed. Like, for example, I can't reply to Telegram messages anymore. I used to reply to all of them, you know? But it's like, I told people, I'm like, we have support people in place to help
For
you.
this reason.
it will come to me eventually. But like we have this infrastructure because like simply put, like
The business has grown too
if
fast.
I answered Telegram DMs, I would legitimately have to reply to like 500 different people every day.
Yeah.
It's impossible, you know? So like we put infrastructure in place for that, right? But it's like, that doesn't mean that I don't know what's going on in the business. I know exactly what's going on in the business. I know what's going on in all the support channels. I read a lot of this stuff. I get all the feedback. Whenever there's questions, they come to me. So all the things that people are hearing,
It
it's
still comes
coming
to you.
It's directly coming from me that I taught other people so we can just help more.
Yeah.
You know, not a reduction. It's not like people paid for them to, you know, for me to be their coach.
No.
And then it's like, oh, you know, this other person, like I've had that happen before where like I paid for coaching and then, you know, like let's say bodybuilder coaching and I want that guy to be my coach. And then he's like, yeah. And like, he just gives me off to like someone in their like coaching tree. I'm like, I didn't fucking pay for that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I think it's also like, you know, we're on two different sides of the spectrum because, you know, as somebody that's, you know, building a brand and a personal brand, you know, a lot of the stuff that catches attention now, even though it's not the highest quality attention, I feel like attention is currency. So for me, you know, having the watch or having the chain or having the car, you know, it helps grab the attention. But, you know, it's like a fine line because, you know, there's some things that I've wanted to post in the last, I would say I've slowed down on it in the last 6 to 12 months, but it's like, there's a lot of stuff that I would really like to post, but then I'll pull it up and I'm just like, it's not necessary. It's not going to change anything.
There's a reason we work together as well. I mean, like people that are watching this are basically watching like the polar end of the spectrum of like how social media and how money can be made, right? The reason we work well together is because you are good at doing all the things that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Literally, that's exactly it. It's like, okay, well, like Tyler's good at like kind of showing interesting lifestyle and being an interesting person on social media. Like I'm fucking boring as a square, you know? It's like, it is what it is. Like I know what I'm good at. I'm good at sitting behind the fucking computer and building things that somehow help lots of people.
And I know I'm not. I know I'm better at, you know, being on social media.
So we work together, right? So like the people that are watching this, even though we're from two different ends of the spectrum, we literally merge and work together and are building something that works well together. It's literally that simple, you know? And it's like, for me, the crazy part is that like, when I do leave my fucking room, you know, and stop staring at the screens and I meet people in real life, like their lives are actually changed from the things that I just built on my computer. Like I've never been some people are good at like physical reality building. Like they can build houses and whatever. I've never been good at that. I couldn't care less actually, you know, like I don't give a fuck. I'm like, I have no like internal drive to like build something. I know some guys are build physical things. Like some guys are like, I got to build and work on my car. I don't give a fuck. I literally couldn't care less. All I want is to pay someone else to do it. What I do like doing is building things in digital reality, you know, websites and social media pages. Like they're not physical things that you can actually necessarily hold, but they're still real, right? And so I have all these cool things built, but at the end of the day, I just have like a computer in my office. And it's not even a crazy computer, by the way. It's like a fucking $600 Mac Mini that has like all this crazy shit that's been built through it, this crazy network of stuff. But in real life, real people are being impacted by that. And to me, that's a really cool thing. You know?
mean, it was cool for when I came over and I don't know if I can say his name, Anthony, you know.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anthony was over there and like to see how much, you know, he's been able to generate. And at one point he was just this kid in New York, you know.
Well, I could tell Anthony's story. I mean, I don't know if he'd be comfortable coming on a podcast, but we could tell roughly his story. I mean, we met back in 2022 through Discord. And so we would be on calls on like Friday nights, like grinding voice calls together.
Yeah.
And then when I moved, like we were talking about traveling, like he was living at home and he wasn't really making much money. He came from like a 9-to-5 world in terms of like being like a blue collar worker.
Yeah.
I don't know what his job was, but like something in the union, and like he lived in New York and it was fucking shit. You know, like he had to wake up at like 5 a.m. to take the subway with a million other fucking guys
uniform.
in the middle of the goddamn winter to go work a bunch of shit, like completely fucked. You know, I'm just like, yo, that's crazy. I hate public transit, but that's not the point. And it's like,
now he's here.
well, COVID happened. And he also realized, he's like, I can't do this. Like I can't wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, I can't do this shit. And he's like, I got to make money online. So he started doing Amazon FBA stuff, which is complete bullshit nonsense, but not the point. And he was making like 1 or 2K a month from that. And he also was trying to do like OF stuff. And that's how we met, because he was kind of hustling both. And like cumulatively, he was probably making like 3-4K per month US from like all his online hustles, but he was working like all day long.
like a dog.
Right? And so when I moved to Vegas, I realized, I'm like, I got to start building a squad, you know, like I need people to help me build. And like we were getting along, we were chatting for months at this point. And I was like, hey, I'm coming to Vegas. I'm like, I got an Airbnb specifically that had 2 bedrooms, like a larger apartment. I'm like, come stay at the second one. We'll grind whatever, you know, like we were buddies anyways. I'm like, come, whatever. He had never done anything like that before. I was like, just do it, you know?
Just send it.
He did. probably ask him one of the better decisions he's made in his life. And so he was still grinding his thing while I was grinding mine, but I saw that he was willing to work like all day long, like complete focus. For all the things that I'm good at, one of the things that I'm bad at is that, you know, I can work in periods of time. I can have periods of time where I'm focused, but dude, I got wicked ADHD.
Yeah.
So like what I'm really good at is like coming up with like the high level idea of like, okay, this is how this is going to work. And somehow those ideas, when transitioned into actually real things that are built, they work, which is cool as fuck. But what I'm not good at is like sitting there every day and doing like the small tasks.
The nitty gritty.
Anthony is really, really good at that. He's also very smart, right? So he learned everything and now he runs like a massive business. So the long story short, we'll get into the long story, but the long story short is that now he's doing like 100K a month. He has an amazing condo. He lives on his own and, you know, he has a huge business that he runs. He learned everything. But when he came, I had to convince him, I'm like, hey, I think you should stop everything you're doing and work with us. You know, I'm like, I really believe in what we're building. I need someone to grind with me. Like, we got to build this. Like, this could be really big. So he did. And I introduced him to the guys I do business with. Now, we were still new in like this business relationship, but it's like a month or two in. And I was like, hey, I got this guy. I really think he's the right guy. Like, we've been looking to bring on another person. This is the right guy. Like, just, you know, so they went and met him, right? They met him for dinner and they thought he was an idiot, you know?
No
they didn't
way.
like him at all. Now, he knows that now. Now, I don't know if this was reverse psychology to motivate him. At the time, I thought it was. But in hindsight, it actually wasn't, which I found out from them. They didn't like him for a couple reasons. Number one, they felt he had a negative mindset, right? They would say stuff to him and he would always like kind of rebuttal. And they were like, why, like, what the fuck is the point of that, you know? And he did have that back then, but now he's very positive about things and always looking at the positive side of things, right? So he changed his mindset. I think that came from his 9-to-5 world and maybe like past failures or people he's been around. That's number one. And then, you know, number two, the second thing is that like he wasn't very like great at communicating back then. He's much better now, right? He was more like just a quiet guy. I was like, you're wrong. I'm like, he's the right guy. Trust me, blah, 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 all of these things. He's provided millions of dollars of value to that business. Millions and millions and millions of dollars of value, right? So a couple things happened there. Number one, they trusted me more because I made the right call on that, right?
Yeah.
Why was it the right call? The right call is because we worked well together. That was the main thing. We lived together for 6 months back in Vegas days, and we were hustling back then. We didn't have any money. You know what I mean? Like, we were grinding. Like, that was when we used to do like 70K in a month in sales, and now we're doing 70K days, you know? So like that, talk about the level up. You know what I mean? We were fucking hustling like crazy back then. We were living in the hood at one point. Like, literally, like, we had like a small 2-bedroom apartment and we would like go out to walk to 7-Eleven, straight crackheads on the street in Vegas. You know Vegas how it is, man. Some of these areas are questionable, you know? And so like eventually the money leveled up and like we kept building and growing. But like over time, one of the things with Anthony is that like we had to like keep him locked in. Like, it took 2 years of him grinding before the big payoff inevitably happened. And then he like but like it kept leveling up, but his skill sets kept growing, right? So he was becoming a guy that was worthy of those larger numbers. And eventually what he knew matched with the opportunity. It came to one and boom, he had a huge result, right? He started making crazy money, right? And now he runs everything on his own. For a while, we like worked together, all these things, but now it's just him running a business, like, because everything in my business, of course, changed, right? He's very successful now, right? It just shows what can happen when someone smart applies themselves to the right thing. You know what I mean? Like I said, there's probably a ton of people that are going to watch this that came exactly from his situation, right? Normal 9-to-5 guy, making a little bit of money online, wants to be successful, he worked his ass off though. You know what I mean? And that's what I told them on day one. I was like, you're wrong. He fucking will sit there for 16 hours a day working locked in. How many people are willing to do that for years?
Not many people.
But that's what it takes.
Like, nobody's willing to do that.
But that's what it takes. It takes that. You have to be able to be dialed in with no distractions for years at a time to become successful. And even when it happens, you still need to continue. And the reason you need to continue is this. No matter how hard it is to make a certain amount of money online, let's say it's like 10K a month. That's like the target. I think it should be 100K that people target, but whatever. Let's say your target is 10K a month, right? No matter how hard it is to make that 10K a month, it's 10 times harder to maintain that number.
Right.
Those are two different things, right? Any fucking guy can get lucky once and make 10K.
Yep.
That doesn't mean jack. Who's the guy that's going to make money for the next 20 years and build a successful life for himself, build wealth? Those are two different things, right? To be that guy, you have to work crazy hard. When you achieve the number, you have to work harder to maintain the number. And that's the hard part, is because people, when they hit the goal, they get to the top of the mountain, they think, like, I'm going to relax now. And that's not how it works. More money, more fucking problems, you know? We have to work way harder to maintain. And that's what Anthony was always good at. He always kept grinding, kept working. And even to this day, You met him and he's doing crazy numbers and he's like, man, I'm not satisfied. I got to get up. He's regimented with his day. He's regimented with his food. He's regimented with his training, which I will take some credit for because he came to me and he never trained. And that's when I was 10 times more locked in bodybuilding. And I respect him because he came to the gym every day with me and we trained hard. And I was on gear back then, you know, a lot more gear. And so it's like, we can cut the gear part out if we need to, but I don't care.
I don't give a fuck
but he was dialed in and we were training hard. We were eating, like there was no partying. There was no like, let's go to the club, whatever.
Nah,
we were
it was
in
like
Vegas.
straight lock in.
We were like 24 years old in Vegas. We could have done anything, you know, and we were fucking locked in. No girls, no nothing, you know, straight business every fucking day. And even to this day, sure, some things have changed, right? It's still the same.
The core is still the same.
Business first. We grind every day. We build every day. No matter how much we're making, it doesn't matter, right? For me to maintain the money I'm making, I got to work my ass off. For him to do that as well, he has to work his ass off. But guess what? He has all the skills built up, and that's why he's worth what he's worth today.
Yeah.
He took the risk, he worked hard, he built the skill sets, and now it's paying off.
Yeah.
It's that simple. You know what I mean? So I think he's an exemplary success story. Maybe we'll get him to come on the podcast one of these days. I don't know if he will or not.
Yeah.
But he's a real person, and like many people know him, but like he doesn't post in the community. He keeps to himself, and like those are the real killers in the world. You know what I mean? Like real G's, straight up, they move in silence.
They're in silence.
You know?
Yeah, you won't
Nobody
see
knows
them.
they exist. Even with me, it's like we have our tiny niche community, but outside of that, people see me. I'm just like a regular white dude. Nobody knows I exist. You know what I mean? Real G's move in silence. You know, like nobody needs to know, right? And so we're now marketing stuff because we're at a point where we have to actually put ourselves out there. You know why he doesn't market himself? Doesn't benefit him. You know, he doesn't want anyone to know stuff.
Yeah.
So, anyways, he's a good example.
What do you say to anybody that's fully watched this video and they want to take advantage of this opportunity? What advice are you going to give them? And this is the last thing that they're left with before they go all in on this.
YOLO. Like you literally only have one life and one opportunity to make stuff happen. And every day that you don't take that action is one less day that you have. You know, it's literally that simple. And it's like, if you're sitting there on your ass and you're watching this, you actually got to this part of the video, just go fucking start right now. Like, don't wait till tomorrow. Do it right fucking now. Get going. There is no tomorrow. Right now, you have to make action for yourself, right? Time fucking flies as well, man. I'm fucking 28. It's crazy, you know? Like, it's now February already. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, where did January go?
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
crazy how fast time flies. And so it's like, you got to make action and make use of every day to the best of your ability. And so if you're there and you're sitting there and you're questioning, like, that's the wrong thing to do. You need to be acting. You know what I mean? And so you can go spend all this time preparing, doing all this stuff, but it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, right? It's like, even for me, running the business, you know, all this stuff, it's like, I still, generally speaking, on a day-to-day basis, have no idea what I'm doing, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just like, there is no handbook. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have prior experience running a fucking multi-8-figure company. I'm like, I'm just going to make this happen, you know?
Yeah.
There is no coaching or
There's no
consulting.
preparation.
There is nothing. It's like, I just have to do what I think is right every day and do it with confidence, you know? And that has worked for me for a long time, and I believe it will continue to work, you know?
Yeah.
And so the person that's watching this, they're probably thinking, well, I don't know, I have to look more information. It's like, just fucking act, you know?
Yeah.
Do something, you know?
Yeah.
You deciding to act and doing something is worth 1,000,000 times more than what 99% of people out there are ever going to do in their life. They're never going to do anything.
Because 99% of people won't ever take the first step. And the first step
Exactly.
is just to do it. Whether you guys have a plan or not, you just have to do it. And I think, you know, like you said, these guys that are making a ton of money, they didn't get lucky. But what they did do is they applied themselves every single day. So maybe one day they did get lucky. Maybe one day they had a viral video. But that's all it takes is one day to change the entire trajectory. You know, it's just, everybody's got to at least just start somewhere and stay consistent. That's it. That's
Same
really
thing
it.
happened with you. It's like, you know, you were doing your TikTok and, you know, you were willing to start. Nobody else was in your hometown. Same with me.
Yeah.
I was just willing to put myself out there and do something that nobody else was willing to do.
And
so that
also,
would be
like,
my final message.
Yeah, and like, just don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. That's the best thing that these guys can do. You guys cannot give a fuck what anybody thinks. Like, if you want to be successful, you can't take advice from somebody that's not in the position that you want to be in.
You got to believe in yourself as well. And so
know?
acting fast, believing in yourself, and not listening to third-party noise is a very difficult thing to kind of have that trio. But if you can, you will be successful. So the person that's watching this, those are the things you got to take away from this podcast. You know, it's like, we're just regular people. We just decided to put ourselves in a position to be successful, and we went for it, you know,
Yeah.
with everything that we had. And that's it. You know, it's like, you have to do that or else you're not going to be successful, because guess what? Somebody out there is going to do it, and you're fighting against that person, you know? But at the same time, a lot of guys are not, right? So if you're willing to be that guy, you're kind of your own breed. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there's probably not many people in your hometown that has ever done anything. Why, if you're watching this, be that guy.
Yeah.
You can become that guy. You know?
Majority of competition is not that great nowadays, and if you believe you can, you can. If you believe
Guess
you
what? Their
won't,
competition are the guys that we make money from, you know?
Yeah,
It's that
exactly.
simple, you know? And so it's like, and we continue to make money from them. So anyways, I think we'll end the podcast there. And it was great to chat with you about all of this.
Yeah, I'm
And,
sure there'll be many more.
I believe that things will continue to grow, and I think we'll be able to look back on this period of time and this podcast and, you know, see significant growth.
Yeah,
Whether it's 6
absolutely.
months or a year from now or 5 years from now. Like, I really feel like the foundations are being built for something fantastic. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited that we got to sit down and chat here in person, and I believe we'll have many more opportunities to do that in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm glad you could sit down as well, and I'm excited to see where things go in the next 6 to 12 months. It's going to be insane, especially with where everything's at now. So, yeah,
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's everything.
I think we're good. Good job. We're good?